Board meeting. Madam Clerk, would you please call the roll? I'm here.
Yeah.
I'm here.
Here.
Here. Councilwoman Miller. And Councilman Muscarella.
Present.
Okay. I'm going to ask Councilman D'Esposito to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
With your hand over your heart, I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Councilman D'Esposito. All right. What? All right, Madam Clerk, would you please call the first public hearing?
Yes, we have a proposed local law regarding regulations and restrictions to limit parking in Franklin Square, Lido Beach, Merrick, and Oceanside.
Okay, any member of the board wish to be heard? I do not have any slips on item number 1. Is there anybody that wants to speak on item number 1 that did not sign in? If not, may I please have a motion?
I move that the public hearing be closed and the board adopt the item.
Supervisor Clavin.
Aye.
Councilman Carini.
Aye.
Councilman D'Esposito.
Aye.
Councilman Dunn.
Aye.
Deputy Supervisor Gooseby. Aye. Councilwoman Miller? No. And Councilman Muscarella.
Aye.
Okay, Madam Clerk, please call the next item.
Proposed local law regarding parking or standing prohibitions in Baldwin, Franklin Square, Levittown, Merrick, Oceanside, West Hempstead, and Woodmere.
Okay, and any member of the board wish to be heard? Okay, I do not have any slips. Is anybody in the public that did not sign in and wishes to be heard on item number 2? If not, may I please have a motion?
I move the public hearing be closed and the board adopt the item.
Second.
Supervisor Clavin.
Aye.
Councilman Carini.
Aye.
Councilman D'Esposito.
Aye.
Councilman Dunn.
Aye.
Deputy Supervisor Gooseby. Aye. Councilman Muscarella.
Aye.
Madam Clerk, please call the next item.
We have a proposed local law regarding arterial stops in East Meadow, near Limbrook, Oceanside, Uniondale, and near Westbury.
Okay, any member of the board wish to be heard? I do not have any slips on item number 3. Does any member of the public who did not sign in and wishes to be heard on item number 3? If not, may I please have a motion?
Supervisor, I move that the public hearing be closed and the item adopted.
Second.
Supervisor Clavin.
Aye.
Councilman Carini.
Aye.
Councilman D'Esposito.
Aye.
Councilman Dunn.
Aye.
Deputy Supervisor Gooseby. Councilwoman Miller. And Councilman Muscarella.
Aye.
Madam Clerk, please call the next item.
We have a proposed local law regarding traffic regulations in the vicinity of schools near Valley Stream.
Okay, any member of the board wish to be heard? Okay, I do not have any slips. Does anybody not sign in that wishes to be heard on item number 4? If not, may I please have a motion?
Supervisor, I move that the public hearing be closed and the proposed local law be adopted.
Second the motion.
Supervisor Clavin.
Aye.
Councilman Carini.
Aye.
Councilman D'Esposito.
Aye.
Councilman Dunn.
Aye.
Deputy Supervisor Gooseby.
Aye.
Councilwoman Miller. Councilman Muscarella.
Aye.
All right, Madam Clerk, please call the next item. Oh. Okay. Madam Clerk, please call the next item.
We have a proposed local law regarding traffic regulations in the vicinity of schools near Valley Stream.
Oop.
Did we do that?
We just did that one.
So sorry. Forgive me, folks, I'm having a senior moment. All right, we have a proposed handicap parking on public streets in Baldwin, Belrose Terrace, Elmont, Floral Park, Franklin Square, Lido Beach, Merrick, North Belmore, Oceanside, Valley Stream, and Woodmere.
Okay. Any member of the board wish to be heard on item number 5? I do not have any slips on item number 5. Is there anybody in the audience that did not sign in and wishes to be heard on item number 5? If not, may I please have a motion?
I move that the public hearing be closed and the proposed handicap parking be approved.
Second.
Supervisor Clavin.
Aye.
Councilman Carini.
Aye.
Councilman D'Esposito.
Aye.
Councilman Dunn. Deputy Supervisor Gooseby.
Aye.
Councilman Muscarella.
Aye.
Madam Clerk, please call the next item.
We have a proposed local law regarding taxation, partial exemption of real property for certain persons with limited income to amend Section 10-3 and Paragraph 13 of Section 10-4 of Chapter 10 of the Hempstead Town Code to increase the annual income limit for persons 65 and over to receive a partial town tax exemption.
Okay, any member of the board wish to be heard on this item? I do not have any slips on item number 6. Does anybody wish to be heard to sign in for item number 6? Yep. If you could please go to the back mic and identify yourself with your name and your address, please.
Good evening, Bonnie Garone, Rockville Center. So this applies, as you said, to certain persons with limited income, and one of the categories of persons are where there's real property owned by husband and wife. Now, we all know in this day and age that language is antiquated. I assume this follows language perhaps that's still in the state law, but can you confirm for us that you will apply this to all legally married persons, whether it's a husband and wife or not?
Mr. Town Attorney?
Yes, according to state law, it would apply to all people who are legally married.
And where is that in the state law?
Excuse me?
Where is that in the state law? Because this language is pretty specific. It says husband and wife.
Well, that was based on the legislation that was passed by New York State. So if you'd like, we can reach out to your state senator or an assembly person and ask them to expand it. But the interpretation he's saying is inclusive of all the couples.
So you will apply it to all
Yeah,
married?
as we just said, we would.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Anybody else wish to be heard on item number 6 that did not?
Supervisor, I make a motion that the public hearing be closed and the item adopted.
Okay.
Second.
Supervisor Clavin.
Aye.
Councilman Carini.
Aye.
Councilman D'Esposito.
Aye.
Councilman Dunn. Deputy Supervisor Gooseby.
Aye.
And Councilman Muscarella.
Aye.
Okay, Madam Clerk, please call the next item.
We have a proposed local law regarding taxation and a partial exemption for disabled persons with limited incomes to amend Section 25-2 of Chapter 25 of the Hempstead Town Code to increase the annual income limit for disabled persons to receive a partial town tax exemption.
Okay, any member of the board wish to be heard on this? Okay, I do have one slip on item number 7. Bonnie Garone again. You all good? Okay.
Supervisor, I move that the public hearing be closed and the proposed local law be adopted.
Second.
Supervisor Clavin.
Aye.
Councilman Carini.
Aye.
Councilman D'Esposito.
Aye.
Councilman Dunn. Deputy Supervisor Gooseby.
Aye.
Councilman Muscarella.
Aye.
Madam Clerk, please call the next item.
We have to authorize the conveyance of vacant parcels of land in the town of Hempstead.
All right, first of any member of the board should be heard on this? Okay, I have 2 slips on this. First, I have Bonnie Garone. Oh, no. Hi, how are you? How you doing? All right, Miriam?
Yes.
If you can identify yourself for the record, that would be great, so everybody would know.
Sure. My name is Miriam Milgram. I'm counsel with Berkman, Hennick, Peterson, and Petty. I'm here actually on behalf of Town of Hempstead and specifically Department of Planning and Economic Development. We're requesting that the Town of Hempstead authorize the conveyance of certain vacant parcels of land to Duck Soup Properties, LLC. That's an entity owned and controlled by Erwin Krasnow and pursuant to a negotiated contract of sale by and between the Town of Hempstead and Duck Soup Properties. The parcels consist of a project area described in the Urban Renewal Plan for Jamaica Square dated October 1990. Planning is requesting the authorization of the contract of sale pursuant to that Urban Renewal Plan and to have to authorize the commissioner to execute the contract of sale and any all documents necessary to implement the contract. As background, on behalf of Town of Hempstead, SVS Standard Valuation Services performed appraisals on all 5 parcels on or about March 26, 2018. In the aggregate, the appraised value equals 945,000 feet. $945,000, excuse me. Overall footage of the 5 parcels equals approximately 37,760. The town's Department of Planning and Economic Development, by request, by publication of RFPs, first in 2018 and then 2020, solicited, received, and reviewed the proposal from the interested developer. At the conclusion of the above described process, the town's planning department recommended that the contract of sale be awarded to Duck Soup Properties. The purchase price is $945,000. Upon execution and delivery of the contract of sale, purchaser delivered to Berkman Hennick, where the escrow agent, the contract down payment in the amount of $47,250. The closing balance will be paid at closing. There are milestones set forth in the contract of sale with respect to, among other things, identifying the long-term tenants and for the purchaser to seek all necessary municipal approvals. The purchaser, under the terms of the contract of sale, must close the earlier to occur of 60 days after securing all building permits and all other municipal approvals, or 3 years from the effective date of the contract of sale. The plan of development is to procure a restaurant as tenant. If the purchaser is not able to do so, the plan of development can only be amended with the express permission of the town. So any material changes to the plan of development must be approved by the seller. The milestones are set forth very specifically in the contract of sale. Purchaser agreed to accept the condition of the property as is. Nevertheless, with respect to environmental conditions only, purchaser has 120 days from the effective date of the contract to perform due diligence. The only remedy would be, though, a return of the down payment. If anyone has any questions, otherwise, I'm concluding the presentation. Thank you.
I appreciate it, and thank you for letting us know about the safeguard and the requirement for development of the restaurant. The deputy supervisor and I were concerned about that. I do have a couple of slips, so see if you can hang out for standby if any questions come up. I know first, I think I saw Bonnie Garone had a question. You signed in for item number 8. Ms. Garone, did you want to ask a question on that? If you could go up to the mic and just give your name and address again, that'd be awesome.
Okay, I have a couple of questions. First of all, it was just stated in the presentation that the valuation was done in 2018. Now, between 2018 and today, we all know that real estate prices have changed dramatically. Why don't we have a more recent evaluation? And would you
I'll let you
please
hit up
stop
a couple
the
of
clock?
questions, and I'll let the attorney speak to the number of your questions.
Okay, that's number one. I'd like to also know how many responses there were to the RFP. And again, a question of timing. The RFP, it was just stated, was in 2020. And again, because real estate prices have changed so dramatically, why didn't we do another RFP that was more recent? And finally, it was stated that Erwin Krasnow, I think it was, is associated with the buyer, Duck Soup Properties. I'd like to know if there are any others with an interest in Duck Soup Properties. Thank you.
Okay. What? Yeah, wait a minute. Hey, you got to give us back our mic.
Sorry about that. Okay. In connection with the appraisals, there were the appraisal was done in 2018. There have been changes in appraisal. You know, you could someone could make the case that there are changes in evaluation of the property, but the reality of the situation, property values go up, they go down. the meantime, the urban renewal plan is dated 1990. There was an RFP. There was only one bidder on the property in the year 2020. It was in the town's discretion, and specifically planning's discretion, that since the successful bidder on the project and the only bidder on the project was paying the value, the appraised value of the property, it made sense to consummate a contract of sale on that basis.
And he was the same bidder in 2018.
Right. Excuse me?
Ownership, the people behind, is there anyone else?
Erwin Krasnow, and based on the disclosures, is the sole member of Duck Soup Properties, LLC, sole member and sole manager. He does have the ability under the contract of sale to transfer limited interest to his family members, his spouse or children.
9 and 10.
Okay.
I'm a homeowner, as I'm sure are many in the audience, and if I had a choice between selling my house for its 2018 valuation and its 2021 or 22 valuation, I, like probably everyone else in the audience, would sell it for its more recent valuation, because we all know, we're hearing that prices go up and down. Clearly, property, almost all property would have a much higher valuation today than in 2018. So I urge the board to table this matter, to do a recent valuation, and if there is a significant increase from 2018, which, I can't imagine why there wouldn't be a higher valuation, that you do another RFP, because this is really unfair to sell to this individual 5 properties that are going to be developed in what will be a downtown business area for a price that's from 2018. This is taxpayer money. Please table it and get another valuation. Thank you.
Any other? Sure. Is there? Okay. There are no other slips. Anybody else who should be heard on this item that didn't sign in? Okay. I know that if you want to hear it on this item, okay. Please go to the back mic and identify yourself with your name and address. Good evening.
Good evening. I'm Hannah Burdett. I'm at 125 Lefferts Road in Woodmere. My first question is about the listing of the item on the agenda, and I just like clarification on why the specific address or the proposed development was not included.
No, ma'am. We're just taking questions and comments for hearing number 8 right now.
That's what I'm talking
Okay.
about. Item
Okay.
8.
The sale of the land you're talking about.
Yeah.
Okay.
It says conveyance of vacant parcels of land. I'd just like to know why the address and the proposed development were not included on the item number, and we were not able to find it, the case number, on the website. So that's more of just a technical administrative question, why it's listed that way.
Okay.
That was my initial question.
Yeah.
My second question is, what is the allowable development at the site? And my understanding, based on your testimony, is that the proposed development is a restaurant?
Yes.
So my question is, how many square feet, and will there be a deed restriction in place with the sale that will only allow the property to be developed for that purpose, as opposed to some other purpose that they'll try to get it rezoned, or for some other?
I do think the council said before there was restriction in there for the restaurant, and if not, they had to come back to the town board. Am I correct about that, Counselor? Okay. And my town attorney can respond to the question about
With
appearing?
regard to the notice on the agenda, it just says parcel, but what should have been included on the website, and we'll check that out tomorrow, is the actual notice of public hearing that lists the actual address. Okay. So we'll check that out.
Thank you, because that was not clear. But so the clarification is, there is a restriction in the development agreement, or is it in the actual deed that's conveyed? Because those are two very different things.
What I said earlier, pursuant to the contract of sale, the tenant must procure a restaurant as tenant. If the purchaser within 2 years from the effective date cannot, for whatever reason, secure a restaurant and an end user within 30 days, the purchaser must put forth to the town another purpose, but that purpose and alternate use must be approved by the town of Hempstead.
Just to note for the record, too, on the original notice of public hearing, not only was the address included, but the section, block, and lot. That was the public notice that our clerk, Kate Murray, had put out.
And we,
I thought I saw one more hand of somebody else that didn't sign in that wanted to be heard on this item. Was there anybody else that wanted to be heard on this that did not sign in for this item? Okay. Councilwoman, did you want to add, or Deputy Supervisor, did you want to add something?
yes, I'd like for the commissioner to speak on this, please, to address this issue.
Good evening, Supervisor, members of Town Board. This project goes back to a long period of time. The urban renewal plan goes back to the year 1990. After the urban renewal plan was written, the town purchased these properties back between 2001 and 2003. Since that time, the town had to maintain these properties. They're fenced off. They've been vacant. They're off the tax rolls. They're not producing any jobs. So this here, which you could see, is actually the appraisal. So it's not like it's a 3-page thing. It's probably a 300-page thing. So we felt that due to the fact that the property was vacant in Elmont, that the value was still fair and reasonable, and the offer was at the appraised price.
Okay. You know what, I think we'd like to table this.
Yeah, John, I think that the Deputy Supervisors, raised the concern that we just like an updated appraisal. Let it be, higher or lower, whatever it is. The interest rates have gone up, so I frankly don't know what the number is going to be right now. But I think we're going to feel more comfortable just tabling the matter until you present it, and then you can present it at the next board meeting. Is that fair enough?
Absolutely, thank you.
And just to note for the record, the clerk mentioned that it is available on the website, and just so everyone has the addresses that are concerned, it's 546 Hempstead Turnpike. Actually, parcel 1 is the northeast corner of Hempstead Turnpike and Lewis Avenue. Parcel 2 is 546 Hempstead Turnpike. Parcel 3 is 522 Hempstead Turnpike. Parcel 4, 540 Hempstead Turnpike, and Parcel 5, 524 Hempstead Turnpike. And I'll second yes, all in Elmont. And I will second the Deputy Supervisor's motion.
Okay.
The
All right.
Deputy Supervisor is making a motion to table the matter?
Yes, to table.
Okay. So Councilman Diaz-Padrón second it? Okay.
Supervisor Clavin.
Aye.
Councilman Carini.
Aye.
Councilman Diaz-Padrón.
Aye.
Councilman Dunn. Deputy Supervisor Gooseby.
Aye.
Councilman Muscarella.
Aye.
Madam Clerk, please call the next item.
All right. We have the application of BOLA Operating LL Long Island Corporation for a variance from the provisions of GSS District for a permit to operate a self-service and a convenience store at an existing gasoline service station, which shall be raised and rebuilt to modify and rescind restrictive covenants and to modify a previously approved site plan in Levittown.
Okay, I know. I see Mr. O'Brien at the back mic. If you just identify yourself for the
Yes,
record, that'd be
certainly.
awesome.
Good evening, Supervisor Clavin, Deputy Supervisor Gooseby, honorable members of the board, council, Madam Clerk, Kevin O'Brien from the firm of O'Brien Law PC, 462 Sagamore Avenue, East Williston, New York, 11596, here on behalf of the applicant. I also have here with me this evening Mr. Kevin Papazian. He's a licensed professional engineer. He's with PPS? PSS, okay, we're close enough. They're the design professionals. Actually, it was FST, was the firm which is taken over by PSS. And they prepared all the plans which are before the board today, or this evening. It's an application by BOLA with respect to a site which is located at the southwest corner of Hempstead Turnpike and Wantaw Avenue in Wantaw. Okay, we got it up on the screen. And essentially what we're looking to do over here is to raise and rebuild this particular location. I want to give you a little bit of history and kind of why we're here and what we're looking to do. So it's an existing service station which is operated as a gasoline service station for over 60 years. It's a prominent corner. It's got approximately 154 feet on Hempstead Turnpike, state roadway, and it's got approximately 130 on Wantaw Avenue. It's got over 18,000 square feet, which is a pretty large site with respect to gasoline service stations in the town of Hempstead. As indicated, it's operated for over 60 years. In its current configuration, it's operating, but not as a gasoline service station. It's really just operating. The tanks have been removed, the pumps have been removed, and it's really just operating for light repairs at the moment. Part of the history is that previously Power Test, which is essentially Getty, made an application a number of years ago to this board. A portion of the property was located in the LPRD, so an application was made to include that into the business district, which was granted, and the overall property was included in the GSS, which is the correct service zoning district for the service station. Power Test, which is Getty, went bankrupt, never did perform, never made the improvements. They entered into an arrangement with Global, and Global came back to this board essentially for similar relief. It was already in the GSS, but they were going to expand the existing building. They were going to operate a convenience store together with repairs at this particular location, add new underground gasoline storage tanks, add additional pumps and dispensers, add new canopies, but essentially utilizing, centering everything around the existing building. That application was granted by this board. The process is a long one, have to go through New York State DOT, County Planning Commission, 239M and 239F approval. That was in process when they were approached by BOLA Operating. So BOLA Operating now has made an application to this board to make improvements. And why do we have to come to this board again if we already have the GSS, we already have permission to operate a convenience store, we already have permission to operate self-service? Well, part of the restrictive covenants when an application is granted is with respect to a particular site plan. So the particular site plan that was previously approved centered around the existing building structure and expansion of that, and part of the use would include repair of automobiles. Ours is different, and that's why we need the board in connection with this, in as much as we're seeking to raise and rebuild this, not from the ground up, from the underground up. So we're seeking to install two 20,000-gallon underground gasoline storage tanks, all in accordance with Nassau County, New York State, and EPA regulations, new pump islands, and a new building. So accordingly, we need to rescind those prior covenants and restrictions and approve it in accordance with this new plan. The board is well aware of BOLA in as much as they become a brand and the kind of work and quality of work that we would do. I'm sure former Councilman Hughes would be very proud, because I know he was always very concerned about the appearance and landscaping and the like. And this board, will be proud, when something like this ultimately, gets approved. But so that's really it in a nutshell. So if there are any questions of the board, members of the public, questions from my design professional or myself.
Yeah, Mr. O'Brien, we have a couple, and just for drill clarification.
Sure.
It's the tanks are already out, right? This is just
The tanks are out, that is correct.
It's just a repair shop now, so we're going to lose the aspect of a repair shop.
That's correct.
Yeah, okay, that's good. And you'll have your standard, you'll do the pumps, and it'll be a convenience store.
That's correct.
And you'll have the your air pumps to the side, your super long vacuums that I can use in my SUV
That is
when I
absolutely
pull.
correct. Yep.
I'm teasing your client. All right, I like teasing him a lot. So that's good. And if I remember correctly, on the corner on the other side, it was a Stop and Shop diagonal from it.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Great. Now I know Councilman Dunn had a couple.
Two quick things. All of our parades, Memorial Day,
Veterans Day, even the 75th anniversary of Levittown this October 1st, our parades go right by your gas station where Bowler's going to put up its building. I didn't see, I looked, but there's an awful lot of plans here. I didn't see a flagpole.
Yes, we discussed that. We tried to figure out the location, but absolutely, we're going to put a flagpole in there.
It's so important because a mile up the street is MacArthur High School. Island Trees High School is right there. Division Avenue is like less than a mile away. And all those kids that go into the military and come home, they like seeing that flag, especially in the spot that you're going to be at. So I appreciate it. Thank you.
Councilman, I couldn't agree more. I'm a member of a bunch of different organizations, and whenever we start our meetings, we typically, if there's no flag in the room, I demand they get a flag in the room, and we say the Pledge of Allegiance.
All right, and you always do great landscaping. Bowler's always been, you know, you almost do a
Signature
cookie
landscaping,
cutter.
absolutely.
It's just great. So I'm very happy that you're coming here. There's, you know, it is a bedroom community. There's going to be a question about the Wantua Levittown Volunteer Ambulance 2 buildings away. Is there going to be any problem with that? Is there any problem with the Island Trees Middle School and High School right there, coming right across the street? And, you know, just the vaping, alcohol, and tobacco, is that going to be sold there? There's just a few more things that I have to evaluate, so I'm going to recommend that we temporarily reserve decision on this, because just so I could check those things out. I love you coming there. I don't want to discourage you. I love the fact you're going to be there, but I just want to do my due diligence and do my homework and be happy with your coming, because everywhere else you've been has prospered, and you really beautified the area. This place needs to be cleaned up, and what you're going to do is absolutely necessary, and we're real happy that you're coming. But just let me do a little more homework.
Absolutely. I mean, obviously, I'd prefer a decision tonight, but I respect your due diligence, and we will, as we always have, work with the town, answer any sort of questions. I think the neighbors are going to be pleased, but we'll work with your office and anyone else that we need to work with.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Okay, so what are you going to do?
I have a question. Are you going to own or occupy this? Is this something you own the property, or are you just leasing the property from another owner?
We lease the property, typically get into a long-term lease. We're obviously putting in a lot of money into, you know, you've seen our other locations.
Yeah.
So when we invest and we invest heavily. So we anticipate being there a long time, irrespective of whether or not we own the property or not. We own some of our properties, we don't own some of our properties, but we invest substantially and intend on being there.
Okay, thank you.
Any other members of the board wish to be heard? I don't have any slips on item number 9. Is there anybody who did not sign in who wishes to be heard on item number 9? All right, then I will. Uh-oh, hold on.
The question I have is, when are you going to complete the one in Roosevelt?
I understand pretty soon, and that's going to...
You know, Mr. O'Brien, you can stick around after the meeting.
We're looking
the Deputy
forward to
Supervisor is going
that.
to take you out back, and well, she's going to hit you with the tough questions.
Okay.
But we appreciate it, and like I said, you know, I know the corner, and I think residents will be happy to get rid of the eyesore, you know, repair shop and see a nice little beautification on that corner. With that, do I have a motion from the board?
I move that the public hearing be closed and the board reserve decision on this item.
Second the motion.
Supervisor Clavin.
Aye.
Councilman Carini.
Aye.
Councilman D'Esposito.
Aye.
Councilman Dunn. Aye. Deputy Supervisor Gooseby. Aye. And Councilman Muscarella.
Aye.
Okay, thank you so much. Have a good evening.
Thank you very much, as always. Appreciate the presentation. Madam Clerk, would you please call the next 2 items?
Yes, companion proposed local laws. The first regarding a temporary moratorium in the transit-oriented development district for North Lawrence and Inwood. And number 11 is the proposed local law regarding temporary moratorium in the neighborhood business overlay district for North Lawrence and Inwood.
Supervisor, before we proceed with the public hearings in regards to item 10 and 11, for the record, I do want to advise everyone here and everyone listening at home that Councilwoman Missy Miller's son, Oliver, was admitted to the hospital earlier today, though she is in the hospital, and she's listening and will be part of the hearing and voting via phone.
Thank you, Councilman. I do get a sense there are going to be a couple of people who want to make comments on number 10 and 11, so let me just give you the quick. That's very nice. Hold on, I'll give you the... Dude, I like you. You should come back to every town board meeting. What I'm going to ask you is when I call your name, if you just go to the back mic, you give your name and address for the record, and you're limited to 3 minutes. Like I said, we want to have it at a nice pace, and we want to give everybody the chance to be heard here tonight that chooses to be heard. So with that, we're going to start with... we are going to start with Stephen Rockland. Yeah.
Good evening. My name is Stephen Rockland, 19 Rockaway Turnpike, Lawrence, New York, 11559.
Thank you, sir.
My comments are that anything that adds to the traffic that is already very bad in the 5 towns is not something I want to see, and I think a lot of other people in the 5 towns don't want to see that. Right now, it's terrible, and it's getting worse. It's a hazard for emergency vehicles, and it's just terrible. And also I would say that the people in the 5 towns would like to keep the 5 towns the way they are now and not turn them into another Brooklyn through overdevelopment and overcrowding, et cetera, et cetera. And that's pretty much what I want to say. 3 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Rockland. Next, I have Howard Coppell. Good evening, Mr. Coppell. I didn't know if I should identify as the county legislature or just as Howard, but it's nice to see you.
Howard is good. Actually, I'm here tonight not merely as the county legislator representing a good part of the area, but I'm here as a 35-year resident right off Broadway, right in this development area, right close by. I've been there 35 years, as I say. I live a block off Broadway. Over the 35 years, I've seen tremendous development in the area, gratifying in some ways, but traffic has increased to the point where Broadway is often impassable. It's at a crawl. You can't move at all during rush hours. Now, we've got over here is a transit-oriented development. Now, transit-oriented development is possibly a good idea at one point, but I believe that the time for this is past in large measure. People work from home, number one. Number two, what you're finding is that the people who live out in the island, anywhere out in our island, if they're not going to Manhattan, they still need to go buy a bottle of milk or a pair of shoes. They need their cars. Everybody has a car. It just doesn't work the way it was envisioned, and it's not going to work that way. So what we have here is potentially the addition of hundreds of new families to the area, each one of which will have 1 or 2 cars. Development is a nice thing, but you've got to have an infrastructure that can support it. We do not have in the 5 towns an infrastructure that can support it. And there's no reasonable... And there's no reasonable prospect of improving that infrastructure, especially when it comes to streets like Broadway, Central Avenue, West Broadway. They can't be widened. There's no place to do it. It just can't be done. We'd like to keep our neighborhood, you know, not just maybe Brooklyn with some grass and trees. We'd like to keep it the way it is. I thank the council, the supervisor and the members of the council for reconsidering this zoning. I applaud the fact that you put this on an evening session. so that so many members of the public here can come, and I believe that there are a good number of people from the 5 towns who will be like-minded. So thank you for doing that, and I do believe that that you're going to do the right and the sensible thing, and hopefully rescind this zoning, certainly impose this moratorium.
Thank you, Mr. Coppell. You know, as you know, that the legislation predates my tenure as supervisor. But listen, you know, we've heard from a lot of residents, and we've heard from a number of elected officials, and I know the board wanted to give everybody the opportunity. We did try and make it in an evening meeting because we respect the residents. So we're delighted so many of you are here tonight, and we appreciate your efforts and your comments as well.
Well, let me.
Wait, no, I can't. Listen, I'll get in trouble if I let you go over 3 minutes, Howard.
No, it's okay. I have to retaliate. I have to retaliate a bit, and say that no. Thank you for. I know that you say that you like to listen to the residents, and you certainly do. You go everywhere, you talk to everyone, you listen to everyone, and I'm so glad that you're sitting in the seat that you're sitting in.
You're very, very kind. Thank you very much. And you owe me 30 seconds. Listen. The next, I know
When you come to the legislature, we'll give you your 30 seconds.
I think I saw legislator Denise Ford signed in as well. Legislator, are you here? Did you want to speak? Okay. You could have gone in the front. Well, good evening, and if you identify yourself with your address.
Denise Ford, Nassau County Legislator. I represent a lot of the area in the 5 towns and the neighborhoods that are going to be impacted by these potential projects. But before I start, I just would like to extend warm wishes to Missy and let her know that I'm sure everybody agrees that we're all thinking of her and her son Oliver, and we do wish him well. I will be brief because I'm going to echo a lot of what my fellow legislator Howard Coppell said. This overdevelopment is going to crush these communities. As he said that we have roads, we have Broadway and West Broadway, which cannot be widened. They're one-lane roads going each way, and anybody who travels along them will let you know that. And I travel that way. How many times we're stuck in traffic, we cannot move, we're stuck for like about an hour, sometimes a half an hour. When we look at the impact of like all the traffic coming in from the Rockaway Turnpike, that is a dangerous road, because when we have these traffic backups, it does inhibit emergency vehicles from being able to easily respond to calls. And it can add response times, which is a danger and a public safety factor, and we must consider this. Many of us moved from New York City to come into Nassau County because we like the quaintness of our communities, we like the greenness of single-family homes. When I look at what some of these proposed developments, especially the transit-oriented and the density, it just reminds me of a lot of buildings that we left that are being built or have been built into in the neighborhoods of the communities of New York City west of us. So I ask you, please, listen to what the neighbors, the residents are saying, hear them out, because I think that they all have valid reasons and concerns over these proposed developments, and I ask you, please, side with them. As Howard said, either just eradicate them, or at least put a very long moratorium on many of these. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Legislator Ford. And just so the public knows, we also put a mic in my spry chief of staff quickly grabbed a mic, and he put it in the back to try and accommodate since we have so many people here. Next, I have Bill Dobbs.
And as he's working his way to the microphone.
Oh, he already did it.
I served with Howard Coppell and Denise Ford, and they both, I'm so glad you showed up tonight to tell us how local government felt about it, because I was wondering if you were going to be here, and I'm so glad that you are. Thank you for serving your public the way I knew you always have. God bless you.
All right. Bill Dobbs? Fine. Okay. Harold Klein? Okay. Ricky Holder Adler? Hi, if you give your name and address, please.
Good evening. My name's Ricky Holder Adler. I live at 67 White Drive in Cedarhurst. I've been a resident of the Five Towns for almost 35 years now, and I still haven't lost my accent. I did some math. My husband works 2.7 miles away from my house in Cedarhurst. At 30 miles per hour, it should take about 5.4 minutes to get there. On a good day, if we leave the house at 8 o'clock in the morning, I pull up in front of his office at 8:28. Everyone should be entitled to live in a beautiful place, and everybody should be able to enjoy the fruits of their labor. But a lot of us in this room have worked really, really hard to be able to live in a beautiful place. And I think that the amount of, again, it all boils down to traffic. When we had Hurricane Sandy and people evacuated, the only evacuation route is Rockaway Turnpike and Peninsula Boulevard. Let's add 1,000 cars to that. It's life-threatening. I really strongly urge you to reconsider the overdevelopment of our beautiful home. The green spaces that we've taken for granted for so many years are being taken away from us. And honestly, going for a walk on Broadway with a baby carriage has become dangerous because of the amount of traffic that's happening at this time. Thank you for the opportunity to speak. Have a good evening.
Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Adler. Rabbi Kamenetsky? Rabbi Kamenetsky?
Thank you, Supervisor.
Good evening.
Good evening. It's always great to see you on your turf and on ours. And Anthony and, of course, Missy and Oliver should have a speedy recovery. I think I trump all of you. So I'm a native of 5 towns. I'm here over 65 years. And when we moved in and they made a little school on Oak Street, there was big signs, stop the overdevelopment. So it's been something that, you know, people have been saying many, many years. I understand there's 4 different projects here on the table, and some of them really make sense that they would actually bring a lot of traffic to the area. I think there's one on Pearsall, which is not over here, but it's all lumped in on the big signs, stop the overdevelopment. There's one that they want to build houses up on the golf course, which is right on Broadway. Going in and going out, it's going to make it terrible. And then there's one in North Lawrence near the post office, which is also tight. And then there's one in an area that I frequent because I study with somebody at nights over there. And it's in Inwood, probably about 250 yards from the Rockaway border. And that's in an area that I believe is in very desperate need of good housing for young couples to come in. I have more than 10 kids. They can't afford to move here. I have one son that's living in Inwood, and the other siblings like to come, but there's really no apartments that are really available. And even those areas down Dowdy Boulevard, where I think this particular project is being developed or proposed to be developed, is just acres of vacant warehouses, sometimes vacant, factory industry. At night, there's a Seasons Express there, and there are stories of muggings and shootings and armed robberies over there. So I know from my own personal experience how sometimes developing and getting people into an area that's just abandoned warehouses or just dark at night is helpful to the community. Now, I understand there are 4 developments going on, and that's going to make a lot of traffic. I don't know if that area of Inwood is going to affect White Drive as much. I don't think so. I think that sometimes people, are smug in their area, which is 3 miles away. I don't think that's going to affect Cedarhurst. And, I've spoken to colleagues. There's a school down the road where there's a lot of children, more young people want to come. The teachers have to drive in. Some of them are driving in from Lakewood, New Jersey. They'd love to live here, young couples. There's a shul on that area where there are just people that would like to move in, start off their careers in that particular area. So I can only talk to the Inwood project because I just know the people who are in that area and would like to see that part of our community developed. I think it'll bring traffic not toward the Cedarhurst area, but sort of toward the Far Rockaway area, and it's over there. Let it stay in Far Rockaway.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Rabbi. And always a pleasure to see you here, wherever I may. And we appreciate it. And I know everyone's understanding of the 3-minute rule, so we're real grateful for that. So thank you all. Next, I have Jeff Fried. Just for a little clarification, because a couple of you said the comments, and I don't want anybody to have any misconceptions. So maybe by a quick show of hands at instances we've said in the audience, and I'm still going to call out the names, but I just want to make sure we're all on the same. How many of you are in support of a moratorium? Raise your hand. Okay. And how many of you are opposed to the moratorium? Raise your hand. Okay. All right. Just I wanted a fair representation of those in the room, not including. And Mr. Fried, I'm going to put you down as raising your hand. Fair enough? Okay, I got that. Okay. Isaac Zucker?
Good evening. My name is Isaac Zucker. I live at 318 Westwood Road in Woodmere.
Hi.
The proposed overdevelopment in the neighborhood is not only restricted to what's going on at the Woodmere Club and the other projects that have been discussed, it extends into Woodmere as well. There are other projects not up for discussion tonight that are taking place at the property at Lawrence Woodmere Academy. So I don't believe that these projects that are on the table for tonight should be viewed in a vacuum. When this project, when the club project was up in front of the Nassau County Planning Commission.
I'm gonna just interrupt you for the following. The moratorium we're talking about here for everybody, and you'll correct me if I'm wrong, doesn't involve the country club property. The country club property is currently in litigation. And my counsel will tell you what do we say about litigation?
We don't talk about it.
We don't talk about it. I just want everybody to be clear about that because I do read everyone's emails. Look, folks, I see this stuff and I just want everybody to know that this zone is not the litigation that's taking place. That's 2 separate things. And I just want to get everybody on board with that. That's it. Because like I said, I read all this and I just want people to understand that this moratorium is not involving that. That is in separate litigation in federal court.
I understand, but it's rare that I get an opportunity to speak to it, so I apologize.
No, you don't have to. Please don't. Please don't. You don't have to. I just want to make sure that everyone understood that. That's all.
All of the development that is going on, whatever you've heard from everyone is traffic, traffic, traffic. When one of the projects was up in front of the Planning Commission for approval, I had spoken at that hearing as well and pointed out to the Planning Commission that the Planning Commission had commissioned a traffic study in 2009 that covered most of Hewlett, deep into Woodmere, and would, I believe, impact at least one of the projects that is under consideration. And in 2009, 13 years ago, the engineering firm that was hired, and I see you shaking your head, said that traffic is, in colloquial terms, an absolute nightmare. Your neighborhood is a disaster, and it's only going to get worse. We had far fewer cars in 2009 than we have today. Now, the recommendations of the engineering firm were probably worse than the situation that existed at the time, and they weren't followed, and, probably a ton of taxpayer money went down the tubes. But here we are 13 years later. The number of cars in the neighborhood is increased, not arithmetically, but geometrically, and it is only going to do so. It is going to get worse. I would implore anyone sitting on the board, if you have never been in the 5 towns during the morning rush or the afternoon rush, which is school arrival and dismissal time, please, I'm happy. I'll bring donuts and coffee, and we can camp out on a street of your choosing, and you can just watch the cars sit. All right? It is not going to get any better. Okay? It is only going to get worse. So, again, I'm at 318 Westwood. You can knock on my door. I'll bring out beach chairs, coffee, donuts, whatever anybody wants, and we can sit there and watch traffic come to a complete standstill between 7:30 a.m. and approximately 10 a.m. and 3 o'clock in the afternoon and 5 o'clock. Thank you very much for your time and your service.
Thank you very much, and I look forward to taking you up on your offer to hang on your front lawn. Next, I'm going to have Cheryl Freed. Gotcha. Next, I have Danielle Gill. Hey, how you doing? If you just give me name and address for the record, thanks.
My name is Danielle Gill. I live on 6 Hawthorne Lane in Lawrence. Last Thursday, I had to take my mom to the cardiologist. It took me 55 minutes between Central Avenue, Rockaway Turnpike, and Lowe's. 55 minutes. If she had an emergency, I would have never made it. The trucks were coming from all sides. We can't forget that people come to get out of Long Beach, they use Rockaway Turnpike. To come out of Far Rockaway, they use Rockaway Turnpike. Inwood, Rockaway Turnpike. So Lawrence and Cedarhurst and Woodmere are the last ones to be able to get out. They came from Burnside Avenue, 878 Peninsula. It was a nightmare. On 9/14, last Wednesday, they closed Rockaway Turnpike because there was an accident, and the detour had to be taken through other ways. I'm also concerned, if we're going to have apartments and children, how many school buses are going to be in the neighborhood? And who is going to pay for the taxes if there is tax abatements for those children? Thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Ms. Gill. Thank you very much for your time. Next, I have Alex Novak.
Hello, my name is Alexander Novak. I live at 132 Fulton Street, which is in Lawrence. I'm not going to be redundant, but I'd like to just point out to the commissioners that in Far Rockaway, and I know this is not someplace within your purview, we need to understand this in the context of traffic. In Far Rockaway, at the intersection of Mott and Central Avenue, where the Far Rockaway subway is now being built, and they're almost to completion, approximately 2,400 apartments. There are multiple streets throughout that area. They only have 2 means of ingress and egress, and both of them will end up into the Rockaway Turnpike. One is through Burnside Avenue, which parallels Central Avenue. I live off of Central Avenue, near Lawrence Avenue. So the likelihood that whatever we do here has to be reviewed by what's happening in the other areas, and I understand parts of it are in litigation. However, that what's not in litigation is what's happening in Far Rockaway. I'm not sure how many people are aware of that. I work in town. I'm an attorney in town, and it takes me a long time, and I now just start walking from my house to my office in Cedarhurst. But the amount of traffic that will be coming off of that large, I think it's an ECD project in Far Rockaway, it's over 2,400, and there's only one grocery store. The original grocery store was the Wall Balance grocery store there. There is no infrastructure whatsoever there. They will need cars to get out into the other areas, which primarily will be Rockaway Turnpike, where there's a Stop and Shop and some other stores. So it needs to be understood that whatever you do here, it should not be in a vacuum, but it has to be, keep in mind what's happening in Far Rockaway. And that's already a done deal. That's what I want to bring to your attention.
Thanks, Mr. Novak. Mr. Novak, that's a city development, right? On the Far Rockaway, right? Is that a federal or a city?
I believe it's probably it's
combo.
It probably is a combo. I don't think it's federal. I think it's city and state.
Okay.
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 Pardon? Probably partnership.
Okay.
But it's quite large. It's worthwhile just driving down there.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you, Mr. Novak. Thank you very much. Rabbi Friedman.
Hi, good evening.
Good evening, Rabbi.
Zevra Walter Friedman. I live in 40 Meadow Lane, Lawrence. I've been there 39 and a half years. I just want a couple comments. I think number one is the fact that people are so passionate about this particular thing, I think is good because people are concerned about the welfare of the neighborhood. But I also think it's bad because I venture to say that a lot of people walked in tonight with conclusions before they heard other opinions. I just heard something to my mind which is interesting and compelling, which is the point made about the development in Far Rockaway, which will impact. But I also think that when we make a decision, we should evaluate all the factors. I live on Rockaway Turnpike, so I'm familiar with the traffic situation. I may need more research in terms of housing prices, in terms of housing availability, tax rates on houses, and also crime, which is something that's not being, was mentioned briefly, but I think it's something to think about. And again, each person has to decide weighing the annoyance of traffic versus living in a safe neighborhood where it's kind of safe to walk out at night. I'm not sure that those are necessarily being considered by people. I think we should kind of make a list, a yes and no list, and if crime is one of the factors to consider, I think that's something to really, that would weigh heavily. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Rabbi. Next, I have Blanche Lehrer. Did I say it right? If you give your name and address for the record.
Pardon me?
If you give your name and address for the record.
I'm Blanche Lara, living at 2 Wentworth Place in Lawrence, and I'm living here for 57 years. I came from Brooklyn where property sizes were 30 by 100. The beauty of the 5 towns was spacious with green grass and beautiful trees and flowers. We felt safe day and night as the police patrolled the streets. The town of Hempstead had choices of other communities to be developed, and they have welcomed this growth in the 5 towns. To overcrowd the 5 towns is poorly thought out, yet it was all your approval. And as for the village of Cedarhurst, the mayor and the trustees and all elected officials betrayed the people who live in the 5 towns. They knew the conditions we are presently living with, and yet not one of them had the courage to speak up and vote in opposition for a $4 million trust fund. We were sold for blood money. Our infrastructure at this time cannot handle this present population. Peninsula Library has been looking to expand their facility for 50 years. Our Lawrence Post Office delivers mail late into the night. Liberty Water pleads with us to limit our water usage, and the same for PSEG with electric usage. Hatzalah, a private ambulance service, serves all the residents of the 5 towns and further. They are all a volunteer organization. They too are dealing with the difficulty of traffic. Of all the issues mentioned, traffic is number 1. It is a daily problem, along with a shortage of parking spaces. Shouldn't these problems be resolved before you bring 5,000 new residents and hundreds of more cars into our area? I am sure the police department and the fire department have their concerns for our safety too. Does the town of Hempstead, the village of Cedarhurst, along with the village of Lawrence, have any plans for emergency evacuation? Shouldn't that be a first concern before 5,000 more people come into our area and have to deal with safe evacuation? If such a situation arises, God forbid, your message should be, stay home, you're going to die anyway on the roads. One proposal was said to be made that all roads will be one way out going north. So what happens when we reach Queens? Do you think there might be a bottleneck of cars? Another poorly thought out plan.
Ms. Lair, we have to hold to the 3 minutes, so you're part of the record, and you can submit anything extra in writing. We will be happy to take it and make it part of the record, okay?
Can I just have another minute?
No, I'll get in trouble. They yell at me when I give out extra time. I get yelled at all the time by people, but I get it. But I promise you, I'll make it all part of the record, okay? And I do appreciate, and like I said, the zone was put in effect by the prior supervisor, but the residents have reached out like you, so we're grateful, and we'll put it all in there for you.
Okay, and I thank you for your time.
You're very
and
nice.
if you've heard us, please act now.
All right, thank you, Ms. Larry. Thank you very much. Next, I have Ellen Wolf. Ellen Wolf? Okay, we'll go outside. We'll have somebody check to bring in Ellen Wolf. That'd be awesome. Thank you very much. George Graham? Okay, yeah. Why don't you give me an up or down there? You're for a yay and nay at this one? You're for the moratorium? Okay. Just try and keep a record of it. That's all. Judy Bernstein. Hey, how we doing?
Hello, my name is Judy Bernstein. I live at 54 Meadow Lane, Lawrence, New York. So I'm going to talk about something different. I'm looking at the Cameron Engineering Report, which specifically states that reduced car ownership, improved public safety, but one of the most telling things, which is to me misleading and not credible, is the fact that they specifically state in this report that there's no impact on the school district. However, when I'm looking at the 25 Rancer LLC application, it specifically states the following. I'll read it out loud. The project involves the construction of new multifamily housing in addition to the construction of attractive streetscapes and new parking facilities. The new buildings will consist of 313 apartments across a single 5-story structure and over 5.23 acres of property. The applicant currently estimates the unit mix at 148 one-bedroom apartments, 129 two-bedroom apartments, 26 three-bedroom apartments, and 10 four-bedroom apartments. I'm sorry, but there definitely is an impact on the school district. I find this report misleading, not credible, and should never have been taken into consideration when approving this plan. That's all I have to say. Oh, one more statement. I'm a little passionate about this, but Don Clavin, Supervisor Clavin, I'm going to quote you. People have moved to Long Island to enjoy a residential quality of life. And the governor, this is regarding your ADUs, has launched a full-scale assault on our family-friendly communities. We will not stand for it. Neither will we. Thank you very much. Have a good evening.
Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Bernstein. I like that quote. Ms. Wolf, we went outside and we got you. We made sure. The crowd was making sure we got you, okay? But you didn't hear me. We 3-minute timer. You just have to give your name and address, okay?
Yes.
Okay.
My name is Ellen Wolf. I live at 623 Central Avenue in Cedarhurst. I grew up in Far Rockaway. I graduated from Hewlett High School in the mid-1970s, lived in the city briefly, and I've been living in the 5 towns ever since. So it's kind of a long time, very familiar with the area. I just have a couple of thoughts because Howard Coppell exquisitely expressed everything I was thinking, so thank you for that, and Denise Ford as well. I am someone who rides around in the neighborhood on a micro scooter. I don't know if you know what that is, an electric scooter. They do about 15 miles an hour. I live off Central Avenue in Cedarhurst. My 90-year-old parents live in Hewlett off Broadway, not too far from East Rockaway Road. And when all that traffic is happening, I could get there in about 18 minutes. If I do that in a car, it could take more than a half hour. And that's on a really normal day. And it never used to be that way. So in just the entire context of everything, I know this is about the inward development, but a gentleman mentioned Far Rockaway near where the Jamaica Savings Bank used to be, where the terminus of the Mott Avenue subway is. It's 2,000 people. In Edgemere, there's going to be 5,000 or 6,000 people. They're all going to come through that Atlantic Beach traffic circle onto, Rockaway Turnpike if there was ever an evacuation. I want everyone to visualize Broadway with the sidewalks, the 2 lanes of traffic, and all the front lawns. In 15 years, there's going to be a 4-lane highway, no sidewalks, no front lawns, if it continues like this with all the projects. So that's all I wanted to say, pretty much. Thank you.
Thank you very much for joining us. David Stein? Hey, how you doing? If you give your name and address, that'd be awesome.
My name is David Stein. I live at 92 Auerbach Lane in Lawrence. A lot of concern has been stressed about the traffic situation, and nothing has been done in our area regarding infrastructure in forever. The one small thing that could have been done was an extension of 878, which was never taken care of. Which would also allow more people to exit and come into the area without going through Rockaway Turnpike, and would relieve traffic from Long Beach and Atlantic Beach and the other areas that come through us. Another thing that's not mentioned is that many of our services are all volunteer services. Most of the ambulances are volunteer ambulances. It's a volunteer fire department with limited space. There's not enough physical infrastructure for 300-400 apartments to come into this area. If you go down the blocks in which these buildings are going to be built, you will see that you struggle just to get from point A to point B. I've lived in this area for 20 years. We came from another area before that, and I have seen in that time a consistent increase in the number of cars and the traffic. During COVID, when I ran to my office for something, it took me 20 minutes. Now it can take me an hour to get home or to get there. And I work in Garden City. So the traffic is important. You will never have enough room for the number of buses you will need. You're not going to have an ambulance service being able to take care of it. You won't have a fire department to be able to take care of it. You will not have the infrastructure to deal with so many apartments. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Stein. And I will tell you, I agree with you about 878, and I know that's a state road, and I know that Ari Brown was down there having a meeting with the state yelling at him that, but I agree with you 100% on that. Now, I'm not going to pick on everybody when you sign in here, but Anthony, give me a helping hand with this. Yeah, I know you. It could be Barry
Rosen?
You live at 84 Jefferson Street.
844, I think.
844 Jefferson Street.
Bueller.
Okay, we're going to find you because I'm going to give you a hard time about your handwriting. We'll come back to you again, all right? Mrs. Dansky? Mrs. Dansky? We'll check outside and see if Mrs. Dansky's outside, if somebody could check. Oh, are you Mrs. Dansky? How you doing, Mrs. Dansky? You have nice handwriting, so you made my life easier. How you doing? If you name and address of the record. Oh, that's awesome. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Mrs. Dansky, and I live at 9 Lotus Street in Cedarhurst. I belong to the Flower Street Association, which no longer exists, but we are, no, Lawrence didn't want us. The town of Cedarhurst didn't want us. Woodmere didn't want us. Hewlett didn't want us, but Hempstead did. So the flower streets belong to the town of Hempstead. I live in my home for 54 years. My side door opens up to Broadway. I have seen cars go up on the sidewalk, go up on lawns to let the ambulance go through, let the fire department to go through, let the police to go through. It is absolutely called the Broadway crawl, from early in the morning till 8 or 9 o'clock at night. It is absolutely a disgrace of how this town has grown and the quality of our lives have changed. In the morning, I happen to be a retired teacher, worked in Far Rockaway. I am still a substitute teacher. I cannot get out of my block. I sit in my car for 15, 20 minutes to try to get to work. And I really think that it behooves the panel to please take into consideration of the quality of life that has changed in the 5 towns for over the years. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Dansky. Next, I have Mr. and Mrs. Chawla. Hey, if you just give your name and address for the record, thank you.
My name is Bobby Chawla. I born and raised in 5 towns, Lawrence specifically. I live at 219 Spring Street. From elementary to number 1 school, which is no longer there, to the middle school, and graduated from Lawrence High School. So Lawrence is, deeply embedded in me. I love Lawrence. I love the community. It's awesome everybody here is, sharing their opinions. I want to specifically, forget about all the other projects, but I want to talk about Lawrence Avenue specifically. My entire life, if anybody in this room has walked up and down Lawrence Avenue, which you probably never really do because there's no reason to, because it's completely desolate. It's completely industrial. There's no greenery. There's nothing you're saving on Lawrence Avenue. After hours, it's dangerous. I'm a 31-year-old man, but I don't even feel comfortable walking down Lawrence Avenue after hours because it's scary. You could Google the amount of shootings that's happened on Lawrence Avenue, and the results will be astounding, which is why when Bruce Blakeman actually spearheaded this initiative 3 years ago, and we've had multiple meetings actually within the 5 towns at the public schools where there was actually massive support for a couple of these initiatives. I'm not really sure what the turnout is happening tonight, but still respect everybody's opinion. But I'm specifically talking about Lawrence Avenue because I don't think anybody in this room could say anything good about it specifically. It's in much dire need to be upgraded. And we're talking about transit-oriented development where it's mixed use. So there's residential, and there's going to be commercial on the bottom. There's going to be laundromats. There's going to be convenience stores. There's going to be supermarkets. So it's to promote walking. So to say that somebody needs to get in their car and go to the supermarket is not true because there's going to be ample amount of commercial space at the floor level to do that. And we have, I was born and raised here. I have no friends who want to stay in the 5 towns. There's nowhere for them to stay. Everything is overpriced. So this is kind of a great reason for them to stay, as well as there's an allocation for affordable units with the new development. So I think it's a good initiative specifically for Lawrence Avenue because it's a mess. It's a mess. You get off at Lawrence LIR and you're scared. It looks horrible. It does not represent what Lawrence represents. That's it.
Thank you, Mr. Chawla. Appreciate it. Next, I have Aaron Meyer. You can give me an address for the record, thanks.
Certainly. Aaron Aton Meyer, 360 Links Drive East, Oceanside. First, I'd like to extend my well wishes to Councilwoman Miller's son. She actually spoke at the meeting last month and certainly seems to know these issues, so I hope he has a speedy and full recovery. Turning to the issue at hand, you're hearing a lot against these proposed overdevelopments. I want to be very specific and say that the proposed temporary moratorium is absolutely the right step at this moment. There should be a temporary moratorium. The town board should absolutely go forward and take the hard look that is actually in the agenda in the notice, but not limited to taking a hard look at this specific transit-oriented overlay. I would urge the town to reconsider transit-oriented development as a whole. It was a mistake. It was a mistake. I understand Albany was pushing it at one point. I understand that we've already heard from members of the Assembly that perhaps there was a time for it, but the time is not now. I'll go a step further and call it a fallacy. But regardless, taking a moratorium, taking a very careful look at plans like this, at designed overdevelopment, is the first step, not the last step. I would urge the town to go further and consult with the Town of Hempstead IDA to ensure that the IDA is not offering tax incentives to build these overdevelopments that nobody wants or needs. And I would go further still, so that when there is consultation with all of the stakeholders, whether present here, whether elsewhere, including the IDA, including developers themselves, I would urge the town to consider that it's no longer acceptable to simply mouth the words, affordable. Okay, we're also talking about apartments that are going to run the cost of a mortgage. So we're talking about fallacies that are being promulgated here, and it behooves the town to basically think of this matter along the lines of the planned moratorium, to take that hard look, free of misconceptions, generalizations, or wishful thinking. I strongly, strongly support the temporary moratorium, and really I'm very happy that the town board is considering it. I urge you very strongly to adopt the resolution and to use that as a first step towards curbing overdevelopment before it takes root here. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Attenborough. Next, I have Rochelle Kelvison. How you doing? If you give me name and address for the record.
Give your name and address for the record.
Rochelle Kelvison, 21 Causeway, Lawrence. I'm a resident of the Five Towns for 55 years, Lawrence, 41.
Joe, yeah, thanks.
Okay. A few weeks ago, I spoke in Lawrence, and I said that our community is between the devil the deep blue sea. And a lot of people are moving to Florida. Actually, I came from Florida on Flamingo Drive. Okay? Fine. Okay. No. Okay. We are trapped. We have no place to go in case of an emergency. Rockaway Turnpike is a standstill. I had an emergency 2 weeks ago, and I had to have stitches, and I had to go to urgent care. It took me a very long time to get there, and I needed the stitches. The congestion, we know, is terrible, but the zoning is terrible. And also, when there were studies made, they were made on Saturday, no traffic. Friday afternoon, no traffic, and this has happened for many, many places in the 5 towns. I think that should be revised. We want to live in a quiet neighborhood, fresh air, lawns, our children could play in the street. We can't do that with the overbuilding of hundreds and hundreds of cars and apartments. I was here approximately 3 years ago when North Lawrence was voted on in three months. Nobody knew about it. And I spoke about it right over there. There was a stand like this. And Mr. Blakeman shouted me down. And I will never forget that. But we're here again. And I thank you for listening to us.
Thank you, Mrs. Kelvison. And just so you know, I did appreciate the 3, so that kind of works for me. We appreciate it, and I made sure I didn't shout you down either.
John wants to borrow the flamingo.
I do like that. Michael Delory? How you doing? If you give me name and address for the record, that'd be awesome.
Good evening, council members and supervisor. My name is Michael Delory, D-E-L-U-R-Y. I'm here today from Long Beach. I appreciate what County Legislator Denise Ford said and does for our community. We had our problems with overdevelopment, and County Legislator Ford was instrumental in getting us to the IDA and ultimately voted it down. Why am I here today? I attended the August 16th meeting at the Lawrence Yacht and Country Club, where over 400 people gathered to express their outrage over these proposed multiple development projects. As I said, even County Legislator Denise Ford mentioned that any of this can jeopardize response times for medical emergencies by first responders, fire department personnel, and members of the county police department. I reiterate what you've heard by the residents today. I am calling not for a temporary moratorium, but a permanent moratorium On August 31st, I spoke before the Village of Lawrence Planning Board regarding the One Rock Hall Road. The list goes on and on. The 20-acre parcel near the Lawrence and Inwood train stations, the Bayview Avenue projects, the Redfern projects, Cedarhurst Avenue, Woodmere Club, Lawrence Woodmere Academy. I understand you may be limited in what you can do on this moratorium. I'm also requesting a traffic and engineering studies be conducted by the New York State Department of Transportation along with the U.S. Department of Transportation. A comprehensive environmental impact study and a report by the New York State Department of Environmental Conservation as well as the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency. Any one of these proposed developments could jeopardize the health, well-being, and safety of the residents and communities from Long Beach, Atlantic Beach, and the 5 Towns area. Lastly, I would request an immediate suspension of any hearings which may be scheduled by the Town of Hempstead Industrial Development Agency as it pertains to these projects. Thank you.
Thanks, Mr. Dellery. Next, and listen, I'm going to apologize. I'm really going to mangle this name. Wishega? Was I relatively close?
Haftali?
Come on, listen, I like you. You're telling me I got it right. Could you pronounce your name and give us your address for the record?
My name is Naftali Vishenka.
Oh, I got it right. All right. We're in a good place.
That's exactly how I told him to say it.
27 Waverly Place, Lawrence, New York. We heard a lot of things about the 5 towns and Long Beach and Oceanside. They didn't mention the Rockaways all the way to Bell Harbor. Those people will use the Nassau Expressway slow way going out in an emergency. Please consider not to develop anymore. Consider to go to the state, get the 878 finished completely from you guys. That's one. Second, the Amazon warehouse going to open very soon. Hundreds of trucks every day going to come out towards Peninsula. Please go to the state, go to Amazon, and have Brookville Boulevard repaved 4 lanes. Have Brookville Boulevard same way as they did the small extension of 878 from Rockaway Turnpike to Burnside Avenue. They made it 6 lanes in 13 months with $110 million that the state gave them. And that was after a couple got a bad accident and died there. They knew it's not safe. All that development have to come, if they're going to come, only after public safety hearing, study, and all, because we all like you, we all love you, we vote for you, we put you in the office, we're going to keep putting you in the office. Take care of us. Thank you.
You're very kind, and I'm glad I got your name right, and congratulations on your Mets making the playoffs. I see your hat right there. Next I have Rabbi Weinberger. Rabbi, if you give your name and address, good to see you.
Prefer the first name better. Daniel Weinberger, 38 Meadow Road, Inwood, New York. I want to second what Howard Capel, our county legislator, has said, along with Mr. Stein, made wonderful, wonderful points, and I'm in full agreement to the sense of having lived in the 5 towns practically my entire life, about 20 years in Lawrence, almost 15 years in Inwood. The traffic is deplorable. It's a menace. I don't have a stronger word to say. Everyone raising their concerns would all live it. Getting out during Hurricane Sandy, the dread that we lived with, not knowing that you couldn't leave when you needed to leave, going through everything else, the transportation, the traffic, the shopping. I'm in full agreement. There's nothing to talk about. I suffer it with every single one here. I just also believe, as I would like to echo the sentiments of the gentleman who lived on Spring Street for the Lawrence Avenue area development, those that live in the area that we're talking about have to take a second side. And it behooves, I believe, the board checking and looking into everything to also understand the residents who live next to these developments. The crime is deplorable. And for living in the 5 towns and paying the taxes that we do, to be living next to this and having, as a rabbi, perhaps the largest congregation in Inwood, and representing almost 200 families, along with about 100 young alumni from the school that I lead, that most of them have resided within the 5 towns, I share many of their sentiments that they've had and they've voiced to me. And they've all expressed to walk down Dowdy Boulevard, that area, whether it's at night, to have their children there, whether it's men, women, walking off the train. They're looking over themselves, looking over their shoulder, what's going to be. You can look it up online. It's over almost 1,000 crimes. Almost 1,000 crimes in 2022 to date that have been in that area. Almost 1,000 crimes. You have to try to live there. The traffic is deplorable. All these ideas and different pieces of advice, of course, have to be looked into. Extend 878, do anything. The community is in dire straits when it comes to that. But at the same time, for the residents who live in that neighborhood, this development has tremendous upside which is that now you could walk down Dowdy Boulevard. You don't have to be as scared. It can be beautiful, it can be maintained, it can be protected in different ways to enhance the entire community. I'm well aware of the medical issues here. I have a medically fragile child myself. I've been in the back of an ambulance enough times to understand the need to get out quick. So I'm in pure favor of less traffic, more mobility around the 5 towns to get out to the necessary hospitals and for the ambulance systems to be able to provide our basic needs. But at the same time, crime and danger to ourselves, to our spouses, to our children are also a dangerous and vital need for all of us. So please consider that, and perhaps if need be, splitting up the 2 developments and a different moratorium for each one. Please take that into consideration. Thank you.
Thank you, Rabbi. Next, I'm going to call Howard Shapiro.
Thank you very much. My name is Howard Shapiro. I live at 14 Weston Place in Lawrence, New York. And I just wanted to share 2 incidents that I think will make this whole issue very concrete for you. Today, I live on Weston Place. It's a 1-block dead end. I tried to make a left turn onto Broadway. It took me 25 minutes. Okay, 4 years ago, my son was riding his bicycle on the sidewalk at the intersection of Broadway and Rockaway Boulevard. The traffic going up Rockaway Boulevard was jammed all the way down Meadow Lane. So somebody decided he would drive on the sidewalk to get around it and go onto Broadway. He hit my son. That's what the traffic situation is like in the 5 towns right now. My son is fine, but I don't want anybody else's children to be hit or to be put in danger. I don't want any old people to be hit or put in danger. I don't want anybody in danger because we overdeveloped the 5 towns and there is too much traffic for the safety and the infrastructure of the 5 towns. Everybody else has made the points that I would have liked to have made. I would just like to make one other point. It's something that I learned at the last meeting at the Lawrence Country Club, and it's something I've learned today, which is there are a number of bodies that are in charge of these various developments, and they're not always talking to one another. You have a body in Far Rockaway, obviously governmental body, that has put up that massive development. Now we have a body on Lawrence Avenue and Inwood on Dowdy Avenue that wants to do something. Somebody else on Pearsall, somebody else at the Woodmere Country Club, and of course the Amazon development. My question is, does anybody talk to one another before all these things go up? And maybe you should. And so what I'd like to say is, we need a moratorium until you do talk to one another, and the 5 towns is not put in a position where our standard of living is affected, our quality of life is affected, and our children's lives are affected. So please, please, I urge you to put in place a moratorium and to talk to the other government bodies and make sure we are not overdeveloping in a dangerous way. And I'd just like to say one other thing. Somebody said this earlier in the day, earlier in the speaking, that maybe everybody wasn't taking all the factors into account, whether it be crime or whatever. I think everybody in this room is really smart, and I think all of us have taken into account all of the factors. That's why we're here today.
I do want to let rest assured, a lot of municipalities do talk to one another. In fact, the Woodmere property is a joint lawsuit of all the entities involved down there, and someone that I do listen to quite a bit, and I talk to and converse because I think he's a heck of a good mayor, is Mayor Edelman. I want to thank you for being here, Mayor, and I appreciate it. So a lot of the entities do talk to one another. I just want you to know that it isn't a vacuum. A lot of the officials reach out to others. Now I have Joseph Lifshutz. Hi. If you give your name and address for the record, please.
Joseph Lifshutz, 6 Regent Drive in Lawrence, 44-year resident in this beautiful community. 20 glorious years of seeing it blossom and grow, and 20 years of seeing it start to decay. And the word is not overdevelopment. The word is total gridlock has happened to our neighborhood. A nuclear traffic situation exists. We're in an existential position right now, facing any future that we possibly can. Now, the reason I say this, I don't think it's been clarified here exactly what the project is that they're thinking of which already was passed and zoned, which I have 37 pages here of the zoning and the development that was already done. I also would like to correct. This hearing is only seemed to develop to addressing the building zone ordinance 432 and 433. That's 10 and 11. There's another zone in the 70 acres, 434 in the building zone ordinance. That's 33 acres left out of the 70 acres. I don't understand why that is not included. That's what we should be discussing tonight. The entire 70-acre development, Zone 1, Zone 2, Zone 3. Again, 432, 433, and 434. It's the TOD, which it said, the TNB overlay, but the TR is the townhouse row house development. That's also part of the 70 acres. 70 acres is divided into, as everyone knows, 3 acres, not a few hundred houses that's constantly referred to. I don't understand. It's a few thousand apartments that it's talking to. We're telling us we're going to solve crime by building 100, 500, 600 units, 60 per acre. The first zone allows 60 per acre to be developed. Since when is that something to fight crime? When you want to fight crime, you do what they did in Far Rockaway. When they had a bad time, they built single-family housing on Empire, which I did. I built single-family as opposed to other people that wanted to build multifamily, because you can't do that. You only have to build low-density, single-family housing wherever you want to correct the problem. Nothing else. So remember, people, there are thousands of things here. Zone 1, Zone 2, Zone 3 we're talking about. 70 acres from the Lawrence Post Office all the way to the other side of 878. 20 acres, 19 acres, and 33 acres. It's divided up to different types of zonings that have been passed, already approved by the town of Hempstead, which I have here, and I want to enter into the record because I can't read 37 pages in 3 minutes. So 37 pages will be entered into the record. So I'm asking you now to rethink and reconsider the enormous size and dimensions of this new, already approved 70-acre development. I'm asking for not a temporary thing, but a permanent moratorium.
Thank you, Mr.
We cannot afford this. We cannot even.
Thank you so much, and we will make it part of the record. No, absolutely. And
the people went against.
I gotta hold everybody to 3 minutes. Thank you. Thank you so. We gotta hold everybody 3 minutes. We're gonna make it part of the record, though. We have a lot of people who want to be heard here tonight. Hannah Birdies. How you doing? Give me your name and address for the record again. Thanks.
Did one of the previous speakers forget their phone at the podium?
My name is Hannah Burdey. I live at 125 Lefferts Road, Woodmere, New York. I'm a resident of Woodmere. I also have a master's in urban planning from Harvard University, and currently I work in multifamily residential development. I have experience in planning and real estate development, working for both local government and the private sector, including rezoning sites in New York City and Long Island. I am not anti-development, but I'm obliged to speak out today against our elected officials purposefully circumventing a public engagement process to unilaterally make decisions for our community. It is a common practice for either a publicly or privately sponsored rezoning proposal to be presented to community members through a series of engagement sessions to garner as much community feedback as possible prior to submitting for rezoning consideration. For those unfamiliar with SEEKR, this is a state regulation that requires all proposed developments or rezoning actions across New York State to go through a review of the environmental impact on the local community and region. The purpose is to identify necessary mitigations to eliminate negative impacts on the existing community. That includes traffic, roadways, sewers, and schools, amongst other items. an extensive environmental impact analysis with an opportunity for the community and interested agencies to provide comment. These studies also include required mitigation actions. It is unreasonable to claim, as the previous council member did in pushing forward the transit-oriented development that we're discussing, that adding over 600, 700, 800 new homes would have no impact on the neighborhood and would not require an expanded seeker. The town of Hempstead elected officials purposefully bypassed a true impact study, purposefully avoiding a public engagement process and willfully ignoring the need for mitigation actions. As part of this rezoning action, they also ensured that such a process would not be required for any projects proposed within the district. They proposed a way to bypass any future seeker for any individual project. As a result, avoiding a public review period, the new transit-oriented development zoning code does not meet basic transit-oriented development required parking restrictions. The purpose behind transit-oriented development is to increase density around public transit to decrease dependence on cars. This is accomplished by including a reduction in parking and a maximum in allowable parking. The so-called transit-oriented development that was approved does not do this. We also know that all these towns are intertwined.
Ms. Birdie, I know, and we're happy to submit your statement in writing. I do have to hold to the 3 minutes. We appreciate it. I appreciate your thoughts on the prior administration. So if you'd like, the town clerk will take that and we'll submit it in.
So I don't have an additional statement, but I would like to add.
Anything you want to submit, we're going to take it and we'll take the map. We'll put it all into the record.
I'd like to share this with the board so you guys see it.
Thank you very much.
Not necessarily for the record.
Okay, and I promise you'll be part of the record. Lika O. There you go. All right. You're now going to make them start typing it. I'm terrible at this. All right. So, good evening. If you can name and address for the record.
Apologies. My name's Lisa Ott. I'm the president of the North Shore Land Alliance. We're a land trust that operates in Nassau County and western Suffolk County. Our offices are at 1395 Planting Fields Road in Oyster Bay. The Land Alliance is a nonprofit land trust. We were formed to conserve and steward Long Island's open lands, water, and natural resources. Since 2003, we've been instrumental in protecting 1,300 acres of land. We own and maintain 14 preserves and hold 28 conservation easements. We're lucky to have more than 4,000 members, 225 volunteers, and an extensive range of educational programs, from helping fourth graders understand where their drinking water comes from to establishing Nassau County's first community garden in Roosevelt. Excuse me. I'm here to plant a seed tonight and offer up a bit of an alternative. We were honored to have been contacted by Rena Safra and the Five Towns Civic Association to assist in developing a plan to protect the majority of the former Woodmere Country Club property. The proposed plan would conserve approximately 80 acres of the Woodmere site and includes converting a former golf course to a maritime grassland or lowland meadow filled with bird-friendly grasses and shrubs and trees and wildflowers. A trail system would be incorporated to allow for passive recreation, and a part-time educator could be hired to communicate the ecological evolution of this property to school children and other interested parties. There are even plans for a nature play area for the children of the community, and this project, if advanced, would be beautiful as well as provide extraordinary ecological benefits and educational opportunities to the local community for generations to come. You are presented with a rare opportunity to protect a community treasure. This is something that would benefit your community today and well into the future. In addition to the beauty this property could possess, you would also be protecting a critical habitat adjacent to a densely populated area. As the impacts of climate change grow more severe, you would also be providing flood protection, shoreline erosion control, as well as opportunities for recreation, education, and aesthetic appreciation. In closing, the Land Alliance stands ready to assist your community in creating something lasting today and forever.
Okay. Thank you, Ms. L. Okay. Barbara Levinson. Barbara Levinson? Okay. Maureen Corey? Maureen Corey? Okay. How you doing? You name and address for the record. Thanks.
Maureen Corey, 11 Conklin Avenue, Woodmere, New York. I'm born and raised in Old Woodmere from immigrant parents. Father, 50-year firefighter for the Woodmere Fire Department, volunteer. A big volunteer in the community. He was just honored this weekend for his Irish heritage and starting the Feshes and Irish heritage in Nassau County. And we believe in volunteering and giving back to the community and being part of everything. I'm here just really to concur with so many great comments this evening, even those that maybe I don't believe in or support, but I think what we really need to think about is this health and safety. And I know people have talked about it, but I live right near Broadway. I can't tell you how many cars, how many animals I've seen killed or doors taken off because of the congestion, the speed, the lack of following rules, to be honest. We've seen that as well. If you look at Broadway, we all know you cannot get down there. I mean, everybody's speaking about it tonight, but it's also the evacuation side, the safety that was also mentioned earlier about firemen, volunteers, police. I had an incident just the other day sitting at my kitchen table where there was a homeless person going through the recycle bin, and there was screaming, and I didn't know what was going on, and it was frightening. And it wound up a police officer was wrestling this gentleman that was going through the garbage, and the poor man did not get assistance for 20 minutes. You know, these are the scary bits, but we really need to talk about the sidewalks. There are no sidewalks. We have more pedestrians now than we ever had. Children in strollers. Somebody mentioned it earlier. Also a woman who uses her scooters. The scooters, no one hears the scooters. And people are just trying to get down the street. Somebody else mentioned their driveway, not being able to get out of their driveway. It's a real safety issue. There are no sidewalks, or they're very narrow sidewalks. So it's just not, it's the infrastructure. We need to consider the infrastructure and really work together as a community. And disclosure, when are these events happening? Maybe some more public announcements so that we can all join in and be able to give feedback. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Next I have Jack Beekworth? Beerworth. Right. Jack Beerworth.
Jack Beerworth, 300 Alro Lane, Lawrence. It's where I grew up. It's where my mother still lives, 72 years ago. And I should say that the family history goes back longer. My grandfather used to come out from Brooklyn over 100 years ago and shoot muskrat out in the marsh in Lawrence. I'm speaking as a retired school superintendent, however. I was a school superintendent for 35 years, most of that in Nassau County. I was also, after I retired, 2 years representing the Commissioner of Education here in Hempstead. In every district that I worked, when we were approached by developers, the numbers always turned out to be wrong. Someone would mention how much we were going to get in taxes, and I would look at how much it was going to cost us in terms of additional students. Inevitably, the number of students and the cost to the school district was way more than what was estimated. And I noted that a couple of other speakers spoke of this already, but I want to say from direct experience that I came out on the short end over and over. And that is before pilots. And when a pilot is involved, the school district has to foot the cost of the students from year one, but the pilots really don't start contributing much in the way of revenue until 10, 15, 20 years down the road. So I would ask seriously that the cost of the students who may come out of this housing be included in your impact, along with traffic and safety. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Jennifer Wallace? Hi.
Hi, thank you. I'm Jennifer Wallace. I live at 200 Burton Lane in Lawrence. My family has lived there for just over 20 years. Most of what I was going to say has been said, but I'd like to just sort of sum up what I'm hearing as the message coming out of the meeting on August 16th in Lawrence and coming out of the meeting tonight. The message to me is loud and clear. Residents, constituents, the people who voted you into office want you to put an end to the overdevelopment and to the destruction of our beautiful suburban community. Our expectations of you are quite high because this is not an easy task. As many people have mentioned, there are multiple municipalities. It's like the Wizard of Oz. Nobody knows who's doing what. And when all is factored in, our infrastructure simply cannot sustain what's proposed. I mean, the moratorium's a great idea. It should be permanent, not temporary. And until there is sufficient infrastructure in the form of roads, in the form of a viable evacuation plan, in the form of adequate open spaces for stormwaters to be absorbed if we have another Storm Sandy. And, you know, people have talked about electricity, water. We're getting emails saying there isn't enough water pressure in the event of a fire emergency. If we can't have adequate infrastructure for what we have today, how in good conscience can you consider adding any more development? The three requests that I would like to leave with you are: first, roll back and reverse the zoning of all the transit-oriented developments that essentially will seek to urbanize our beautiful towns. The second is to preserve the 80 to 110 acres of the Woodmere Club, which is the last remaining large undeveloped space in our immediate community. It's an important environmental ecosystem, and it's currently on deck to be destroyed. I understand it's in litigation, but I hope that we can come to some sort of a settlement before then that preserves it. And finally, complete the 878. Obviously, this project has been in the works for 20, 40, depending on who you talk to, years. I think the time is now to go to Albany to get it done. Thank you very much. Remember us, we're your constituents. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Wallace. And I just want to let you know, Howard Coppell and I the other day were talking about 878, and he tells me that that's been in the works for like 30 years by New York State, so that's amazing. Next I have Dr. Alan Simon.
Good evening. My name is Dr. Alan Simon. I live at 284 Central Avenue in Lawrence. I've been a resident of Lawrence since 1982. I'm not going to talk about the increase in traffic, the increase in pollution, the effect on our quality of life, and the fact that almost everyone in this room is against more development. I'm just going to talk about water. Water, as you know, we are composed of about 90% water. Water is as important as the air we breathe. The 5 towns presently is experience a very low water pressure. Our water suppliers are telling us to cut back on our water usage. The water is also brown at times, and there are many issues with it involved with pollution. A recent CBS report, July 22nd of this year, stated that there's a 400% increase in peak water demand on Long Island. Inwood and the other massive developments being planned will further reduce our water pressure. This will severely impact water needed for emergencies and basic human activities, and water quality will certainly decrease. How do you propose to overcome this increased strain on our water supply when we are already being asked to decrease water consumption just to maintain pressure? Many wells that tap the only source of water on Long Island, which are the aquifers, are being affected by saltwater incursions and pollution from human activities. Can our water supplier actually commit that we will have adequate water if there's more development? Let's stop overdevelopment now. Thank you.
Thanks, Mr. Simon. Fran Ticcio? Ticcio? Okay, sorry. Hi. You good? Okay. Gotcha. That's okay. Thanks for coming down. Okay. Rena Safra?
Good evening, Rena Safra, 23 Iris Street in Cedarhurst. Thank you for giving us the chance to tell you how upset we are about overdevelopment in our community. There are obviously many building projects being planned all over the 5 towns. Each one on its own may not sound so bad, but the totality of them all is something that must be taken into consideration before being given the green light. Tonight, I'd like to talk specifically about the Woodmere Club because it's been in the works for 7 years and is the most ripe of all the projects being discussed tonight. We have come to accept that something will be built on this privately owned property, but it has to make sense and there must be input from the people whose day-to-day lives will be impacted by it. When the property was purchased 6 years ago, the owners proposed building 284 homes on the property, a 6th town, so to speak. Thankfully, after extreme pressure from the 5 Town Civic Association and this community, you heard our pleas. On July 1st, 2020, you joined forces with the villages of Lawrence and Woodsburg, and you unanimously voted to change the zoning to allow just 59 homes on a limited portion of the property. And as you are well aware, the developers immediately sued the municipalities, and the matter remains in litigation. Now we hear that you're possibly considering building 80 homes on the entirety of the property, and this is unacceptable. In May of 2021, only 1 year ago, the developers proposed a different plan that you're well aware of to build age-restricted condominiums on just 20% of the property and turn the remaining 80 acres into a nature preserve through the stewardship of the North Shore Land Alliance, who has enthusiastically agreed to take this on at no cost to the town of Hempstead, no cost to the villages or Nassau County. This plan was seen as a fair compromise, as it would have been a win for the developer, a win for the 5 Towns community, a win for the environment, a win for the town of Hempstead and Nassau County. Unfortunately, despite our best efforts, despite your insistence that you hear us, despite your promise to serve on our behalf, you have done nothing to bring this well-thought-out plan to fruition. Perhaps you will hear us tonight. We don't want a 6th town. We don't want to wait to hear about deals you make after the fact, like the transit-oriented development in North Lawrence and Inwood, or the Pearsall project in Cedarhurst, or the 17 houses at the Lawrence Woodmere Academy. We want a say in what gets built in our neighborhood, and we want transparency. We want open space, and there's no question that returning the majority of the Woodmere Club property back to nature is the most responsible use of the land. I have here to submit over 200 letters of support for this plan. How much louder do you need us to get? What more do we need to do to get you to hear us? You asked for our support and we have given it to you. You asked for our endorsements and we've given it to you. You took an oath to carry out the will of the people and you have let us down. Elections are right around the corner, and constituents vote on issues they care about. It is clear from the amount of people in attendance tonight that we care a whole lot. Now it's your turn to show us how much.
Thank you so much. And as I think, again, I think you hit it on the head a couple of things. You know, obviously, we inherit a lot of the zoning, but as for the Woodmere, again, I'll stress to everybody here right now, that's in litigation. We're not going to talk about it. So anybody who says anything else, you know, it's in federal court, and that's where it stands. Michael Hatton? Mike, yep. Did I get your name right? No, dude, I got you. That's okay. I got you. I'm going to put it down right there on the record, okay? You got it. Murray Foreman?
Good evening. My name is Murray Foreman. I am the long-serving president of the Lawrence Union Free School District, as well as a commissioner of the Nassau County Planning Commission. I'd like to thank the Town of Hempstead Board for allowing this forum this evening to get a sense of the community's displeasure with the amount of development that is being proposed in our district. As I have offered in the past, and I repeat my offer, the school board is aware of every project that is going on, and we encompass through our service of all the children of the district just about every area of the project, and it's been quite disturbing to us, the silence from the town of Hempstead, the village of Cedarhurst, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, and being consistently presented with fait accomplis. We are not naive enough to assume that there will be no development, and I actually am kind of a pro-development guy. However, I think it needs to be done intelligently. So again, I offer our resources to bring to bear to solve the problem. Now, the first step is clearly a moratorium, which we fully support. I do believe that it should be made permanent, and that I believe that the transit-oriented development plan in particular is both obsolete and was ill-conceived from the beginning. So, Don, hope to be in touch with you again and actually get a return phone call this time.
You don't take it personally, will you?
No, I don't take anything personal. So it's only business. Hopefully we can work on that, as well as the Woodmere Country Club project, which is, has echoed the sentiments of Rena Safra. I mean, there's a low-hanging fruit in terms of a deal that will be good all around. So again, thank you very much. Apologize for being a little blunt, but
don't worry, Murray. Listen, and we appreciate it, and you're always an advocate, and like I said, the Woodmere Club is in litigation. We can't speak to it. For the other ones, I said, the residents, raise their concerns. My friend the mayor had a forum, and you know what, the residents spoke, and that's what we're here. And we didn't make a predetermined decision. We want to hear what the residents have to say before we make a decision. That's the most important thing. So we appreciate that.
I do appreciate it. I sit on your side of the table as well, so I understand what I'm doing here. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Murray. Thank you very much. Pans Popak? Pans Popak? Popak? Oh, Paris. Paris. I can't read. I'm sorry, Paris.
Okay.
Madam Trustee, how are you? How are you doing?
Is this on? Oh.
You're on.
Good evening. I'm Paris Popak. I'm a Village of Lawrence trustee and a resident of Lawrence for 27 years. I would like to thank The 5 towns and Far Rockaway residents who came out tonight and who also came to the meeting in Lawrence, thank you so much. I know it's a big effort. Proudly, I'd like to say we had over 400 people at our Lawrence meeting, and it seems to have rolled over to this one. Thank you for hosting us tonight as a result of our outcry. I do have minutes from that meeting, not now, but I want to know if I can submit that to you later, and what's the deadline?
Of course you can, Paris.
What's the deadline?
10 o'clock. No, I'm joking.
I know.
When you get back, Madam Clerk, when do you think we can get in the next 24 hours?
Oh, okay. And then what about anybody that wants to maybe write letters to you about this?
Absolutely. We've been telling people they could send in emails or send in letters, and they have, and they're all being made part of the record.
Okay, fine. Okay, fine. Great. Okay. So I represent the constituents of the Village of Lawrence. I was elected to represent them and their quality of life, and I am voicing my opinion against overdevelopment of the 5 towns tonight, specifically the North Lawrence and Inwood transit-oriented development, district, including the townhouse and row house district. We all know we have terrible traffic on Rockaway Turnpike, Washington, Central Avenue, West Broadway, Peninsula, and more, and this zoning will terribly affect us all. Our situation is dire, and it needs emergency action by you. Development isn't bad in the right area, but our community, including Inwood, North Lawrence, and Rockaway Turnpike, are not the right area for multiple family developments. The TOD district zoning in North Lawrence and Inwood are not the right areas. The 5 towns currently experiences gridlock. It's unacceptable, and we have dangerous traffic continuously, daily. Transit-oriented development means a reduced and maximum cap on parking. Each proposed TOD development has hundreds of parking spots for their rental tenants. These proposed developments are not what the TOD district is supposed to be. It is absolute that these TOD townhouses, row houses, and projects will negatively affect us all. Accidents are reported daily. I have a report for you. I don't want to really read it. Oh, I have 30. Oh gosh. I'll put it in. But meanwhile, let me get to the real point. A lot of other people have stated that the planning is basically non-existent. Existing developments were not considered when moving forward with zoning. We need this to change. All 5 towns are interlinked, and there's no coordination. Apparently, there should be no zoning changes allowed without coordination of the villages, the town of Hempstead, and in our case, New York City with Far Rockaway. 1,700 apartments that no one took into consideration, right over the 878. Let's see. So acting on our own doesn't really work, obviously.
Paris, I know you were trying to rush it, so I'm going to tell you now. We're going to take it. We're going to submit everything you want to say into the record. I promise you that right now, because I know you were trying to rush it in. And I appreciate you coming down. You're a great trustee, and and like I said, you and the mayor have been great friends to work with. So thank you.
Thank you.
All right.
Keep suburbia alive.
And by the way, and if you want to submit those minutes later, we'll also make that part of the record. I promise you on that. No, meaning like in the follow-up. Tim Helmuth?
Tim Helmuth, 285 Victoria Place, Lawrence. I just wanted, it had been mentioned earlier about the water pressure. I just wanted, our water company has sent letters to many of us in the community. I will quote, "Our systems are under tremendous strain. Conservation efforts are especially important to maintain pressure for fire emergencies." It has been said earlier, so I'll just repeat briefly. If we do have hundreds, thousands more apartments, residents in our area, it's going to be very difficult for our fire department to do the job that we ask them to do. I urge you to vote for the moratorium.
Thank you very much. Al D'Agostino? Okay. Next, I have Robert Kurtz.
Hi, good evening. Thank you. My name is Rob Kurtz. I live at 275 Barrett Road in Lawrence. I came tonight, I realized that you cannot talk about the Woodmere development, but I can. And so tonight, I want to offer a thought to those of you, our elected officials, While that is my premier concern, as that will be the most destructive development that could possibly hit the 5 towns in our lifetime, I'd want to offer to you a thought. And first of all, I want to say how much I appreciate the Paris Popak and Ellie Kuttner, Mayor Edelman are here from Lawrence to make sure that they're representing their constituents. And now we turn to you in the town of Hempstead to consider your constituents. I would like to offer to Councilman D'Esposito, who I know is running for office, one thing you need to know about the 5 towns. We remember. And what we remember is that when we were devastated by the news of the Woodmere Club, we were shocked that Bruce Blakeman stood up and fought. And most of us did not expect that. But when he did, we remembered. He's now the county executive. So please understand that we pay close attention. We care about our community. I'm not saying I don't know enough about the other developments, to be honest with you, but I know that there's a tremendous problem. You've heard it tonight from all of your constituents. There is a problem. There's a proper way to develop and an improper way. I ask you to take a good look at these plans. You clearly need a moratorium to be able to do that. You've made it clear, Mr. Clavin, that you have not had a chance to really look at this. You inherited these problems. So now we ask for the moratorium. Please take a look and understand there is appropriate, as Paris said, there's appropriate and inappropriate development. But the approval of inappropriate development will destroy our beautiful community that we've asked you to protect. So please, please keep our thoughts, our comments tonight in mind, and understand that when you take care of us, we will remember. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. I just want to point out that, you know, when the situation arose with the Woodmere Club, actually where the Woodmere Club sits is my councilmanic district, and I stood side by side with then Councilman Blakeman to make sure that the Coastal Conservation District was put in place. So I hope you don't remember that either. That you don't forget that either.
We will not forget, and we appreciate it very much. And now we turn to you again.
No problem.
Thank you very, very much. Yehenda Mikal?
No.
Okay.
Yavoli Michel? 316 Dowdy? I said it way better than Clavin, that's for sure.
That's all right. No, I definitely said his name correctly. We'll put that to the side. Daniel Weinberg? Daniel?
We need to start typing these.
Okay. Lindell Senior?
Making these up.
No, the people. It's, you know. And by the way, we'll check outside to see if there's anybody outside with the names that they'll give them their opportunity. Deborah Spire? Hey, how you doing? All right.
Okay, I'm a little short.
No, that's okay. You're fine. Take the mic. That's fine.
Okay, that should do it, right? I just wanted to address.
Oh, you got to give your name and address to the record.
I'm sorry.
That's okay.
Deborah Spear. I live at 431 Summit Avenue in Cedarhurst. I lived in Cedarhurst for 26 years, and they've been pretty good. Recently, things have been going a little bit differently because of all the overcrowding. I think you've heard from most people about all about that situation, the overcrowding, the traffic. There were very few people here, and in the past with other meetings, who've actually spoken in favor, which is what I'd like to actually address. There were only a couple of reasons for that those people mentioned for supporting these particular developments. The first one is talking about crime, which is saying that in order to revitalize certain bombed out type areas and to make it safer, that these developments would improve the situation. Well, I think every city in the world would be really, really surprised to hear that high density housing improves crime. I don't think that that makes any sense at all, obviously. And these particular developments, are not the only option, obviously, for revitalizing these places. There are other things that can be done, maybe single-family housing, maybe other things. You don't need such high density, hundreds of apartments in order to fix crime. That's ridiculous. The second thing that they were talking about is the fact that young people are leaving the area because there's not enough housing and it's not affordable. First of all, the affordable aspect is also ridiculous because I don't think anybody is under any illusion as to how expensive these places would be, which is why these developers are actually making these places. It's about money. So if they weren't making the money, they wouldn't be developing. So that's nonsense. The other thing, as far as everybody moving out, it reminds me of the Yogi Berra supposed apocryphal statement that nobody goes there anymore because it's too crowded. So that also is nonsense. So hopefully I've debunked those few people's arguments in favor. I think we can all pretty much agree that this overdevelopment makes no sense. We would like you guys and whoever else has anything to do with this from now on to please coordinate and have it in your mind.
Thank you, Ms. Spears. Thank you very much. Gwen Campbell?
Good evening.
Good evening, Gwen. If you give me your name and address for the record.
My name is Gwen Campbell. I live at 27 Monroe Street in Inwood, New York. Hope everybody is hanging in there.
Hello. They got to get a little closer to the mic. A couple of people said they can't hear you.
Sorry.
All
Okay,
right.
one more time. My name is Gwen Campbell. I live at 27 Monroe Street in Inwood. And thank you so much for having us here to hear our voices on behalf of the overdevelopment that's going on. I can't touch on all the subjects that everyone said because they said it all tonight. I'd just like to add, with the influx of traffic, it just brings more and more and more people who are going to need care. We have a lot of seniors, we have children that need to be seen and heard and not hurt. We have residents in the Inwood area that are single-family homes that are turning into multi-family homes illegally. With all the traffic coming in and out, how do we stop any of this? Our feelings are hurt because we feel as though we're not being heard. Thanks to the town hall that we had at the Lawrence Country Club, we're bringing more light to this situation, and I hope you guys just really take heed on the things that we're saying tonight. Thank you very, very much.
Thank you, Ms. Campbell. Lester Herner? Lester Herner? 117 Harrison? Herner. Did he leave? Okay, we'll just check outside for Lester, Mr. Hanner. That'd be great. Greg Stein? What? They left? Okay. Brian Pinola?
Yes, Mr. Supervisor.
Okay. Hey, Brian. Joel Martin? Hey, Mr. Martin, if you just go to the mic there, thanks.
Little short for me.
Yeah, by the way, you're probably the first person who ever said the mic's too low, so nice to see you.
Hi, hello. My name is Joel Martin. I reside at 231 Allen Street in Lawrence. I am the fourth generation to grow up in the Five Towns. I come here also to represent my late passing grandmother who died at the age of 102, July 13th.
Huh?
Now, she resided at 246 Lawrence Avenue for a long time. My family actually came here in 1943. Generations upon generations has experienced the development of this area. To certain people's non-benefit, let's just say that. What I hear a lot is, when it comes to the Five Towns, I notice myself that Inwood and Lawrence are the last community to be heard of. Not a lot of community support comes from Inwood and Lawrence anymore. I grew up in a time when there was plenty of that community. I grew up at the community center on Lawrence Avenue. Most of my brothers and sisters graduated there. Father graduated there. Countless. I can go on and on. My grandma used to say, Five Towns used to be a beautiful area. Used to. It's been turning the other way. Somebody mentioned something quite interesting last meeting at Lawrence Country Club. IDAs. I had to look up what IDAs were. Industrial Development Agencies. Who funds these IDAs? I think everybody should know that they're actually funded through the World Bank. Mic drop, right? We're talking big money here. We're talking about outside interest in the 5 towns. I don't think that's right. I don't believe that the neighborhood should not have got any notice, which is appalling, totally appalling. I'll just say this, my grandmother was pretty vocal. She would, write the county all the time, complain about certain things she wanted to develop herself within her own community. One of those things was the sidewalk in front of her house, which isn't even raised. And when it rains, it floods. So if you guys want to start development, you can at least start with the streets and the sidewalks.
Thank you, Mr. Martin. Andrew Garbett. How you doing? Give your name and address to the record. Thanks.
Good evening. My name is Andrew Garbaz, 269 Pacific Avenue in North Lawrence. I live at this address with my wife and 5 children. I grew up in the Far Rockaway 5 Towns community. I lived at my current address since 2016. The subject matter of the North Lawrence and Inwood proposed redevelopments are as relevant to me and my neighbors as anyone in the town of Hempstead. We literally live within the eye of the redevelopment monster storm, as it has been anecdotally characterized and demonized. Before I begin, so as to dispel any assertions of cynicism towards my words, for those who maybe politely disagree, it ought to be clear that I have zero personal, financial, or political connection with any owner, developer, decision maker associated with the proposed projects. I did recently, however, meet in person with an owner of the proposed Inwood project so I could gain a first-hand account of his plans and so that he could address some of my questions and concerns. I would characterize myself as a pragmatist, optimist, realist, and problem solver. I understand that rules, regulations, status quo, politics agenda, personalities, emotions, and context are wholly relevant here tonight. I also understand that there is a great degree of anxiety and negative bias towards changing the status quo of the community. We are all humans. Positive reviews, ratings, and outlooks will always be outclassed by negative ones. Basics of psychology dictate that those with a negative perspective on a given topic will be far more likely to vent those frustrations if given a forum to do so. I believe there is a silent majority that concur with my points of view, though they may not be emboldened nor incentivized to take the time to express their view. As such, I recognize I may be in the minority here tonight, but here goes. Simply put, the pockets of North Lawrence and Inwood, especially in and around the LIRR, are completely forgotten and orphaned children of the greater 5 towns. They are overseen by no village carve-out. They have long been ignored by the town of Hempstead, which understandably has its hands full. These pockets of area are to the town of Hempstead what Far Rockaway is or was to New York City. Out of sight, out of mind. They are riddled with crime, abandoned property, tire chop shops, garbage on the streets, down wires, late-night loiterers, drug dealers and gang dealings, and firecracking troublemakers. Every other lot has become an abandoned parking lot for gardener trucks or commercial vehicles. Ask me about the dead body found in my neighbor's backyard. The status quo of these areas is not worthy of any protection of a status quo. The status quo is simply not reflective or synonymous with anything that 5 Towns has built its great reputation on. The status quo literally stinks. On a community-wide group chat, we have a running joke of a virtual clock to count days since a crime has been reported on Mott Avenue. Needless to say, the clock is reset monthly and often bi-weekly. It's unacceptable. As part of the Orthodox community, walking on the Sabbath is part and parcel of our lifestyle. My family and those of my neighbors have lots of family and friends in the villages of Lawrence, Cedarhurst, Linwood, and Rockaway. My wife and children cannot comfortably walk down Rockaway Turnpike or Lawrence Avenue at any time of day, and certainly not past dusk. It's simply...
We have to hold to the 3 minutes because I have to with everybody. If you have more of a statement, we'll be happy to make it part of the record. Or you could follow up with an email. We're delighted to make that part of the record as well. All right? Thank you. David Zlowski? David? Nope. Good. Mr. Korngold? Korngold? Okay. Marge Congello? Yeah. Okay. Jeffrey Hirsch? 24 Westover Place, Lawrence? Who's that? Who's that? Hey, Marge, how are you? Good. We'll have you give your name and address to the record. That'd be awesome.
So, my name is Marge Congello, and I live at 2493 Wilson Avenue in Belmore. Now, isn't that a surprise? So, I'm here because I'm a resident of the town of Hempstead. I was going to say Oyster Bay. I'm tired, sorry. I'm also here as the president of the Central Belmore Homeowners Association, and I came to stand in support with the residents of the 5 towns. You may or may not be aware that there is a growing group on Facebook that was formed by necessity in response to the overdevelopment on Long Island. I was recently successful in stopping a developer from taking the Citibank building in Belmore and turning it into a rental apartment. I realize that was a very small scale to what you people are facing, but I also realize that small things turn into big things, and if we don't stay together and form a coalition, this kind of thing is going to continue on Long Island. There are many residents in the town of Hempstead that are mobilizing to work towards stopping overzealous developers from turning our beloved suburbs into a 6th borough. This board made it a point in March to send out flyers that said, "Save our suburbs." I know many people in the room had that flyer, and I also had it. And many in this room, many in this room implore you to please stand by your words, listen to your constituents, and be mindful of how we are stealing from our children and grandchildren the beauty of the town we all love. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much. Jeffrey Hirsch? Now, Valerie Masson said that she was outside. So if somebody could just go outside and see if she's still out there. Jeff Eisenberg? Nope. Hi.
Good evening. Jeff Eisenberg, 3 Copper Beach Lane, Lawrence, New York. I've been a resident here for over 20 years. In the words of Abba Eban, everything has already been said, but it has not been said by everybody. There's no reason to repeat all the points that were made here tonight. I've been to many public hearings, and they're often infused with a lot of erroneous statements and exaggerations. I can honestly say that not one thing that was said here tonight is an exaggeration. It paints the accurate picture of what transpires on a daily basis in the 5 towns. We have elected officials that we've counted on. It is not just a political responsibility. It's an ethical one because our lives are in danger on a daily basis. Before I came here tonight, someone told me that their child, their 4-year-old, was waiting 1 hour each day for the last 4 days for their bus because they're stuck in traffic. It's tying up the entire system. There is no reason, it does not pass the sensibility test that you could in good conscience, build any more housing. I am a big believer. I like development. I'm an entrepreneur. I believe in it. And I have nothing against it in my town if it made sense. But we're past that point. It doesn't make sense. The roads are single-lane roads. Accidents occur on a daily basis. And if that one-lane highway on Broadway, one of these streets has an accident, forget about it. People are leaving 20, 30 minutes early to pick up a child, which is 7 minutes down the road, because there's a chance that they may be late. So what happens is other neighborhoods are now being clogged up by a bunch of cars waiting for the child 30 minutes early. In those days, that traffic was lighter. It does not make sense. People are going up on curbs on a daily basis because they want to get by. The sidewalks are the rite of passage for every person in the neighborhood. We ask you to please, as Rob Kurtz said, we are listening and we're paying attention. We rely on you to do the right thing. It's a matter of sense. Keep your eyes open. If any one of you lived in the 5 towns and had to contend with what we contend with on a daily basis, I assure you this meeting would be over very quickly. A temporary moratorium is not the answer. It should be a permanent one. We ask you, please, stop it now. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Richard Gordon. Hi. If you give me name and address, that'd be awesome.
First of all, I would like to thank the board for meeting with everyone. My name is Richard Gordon. I live at 36 Dowdy Boulevard in Lawrence. I just like to visually describe where I live. We have Central Avenue and Dowdy Boulevard, and then from Central to Dowdy comes the Long Island Railroad Station in Inwood. There's 5 houses on the block. After the train tracks crosses over, you have the Inwood parking lot, which is where the proposed development for the Inwood development is supposed to be. I've been living at my house for 24 years. Dowdy and Central Avenue is a intersection that is a disaster. It's gridlocked. There's traffic between 7:30 and let's say 9:30 in the morning, and then 3:30 and 6 o'clock. You can't even get through the roads. And this is before the Far Rockaway developments have even been populated, which is going to cause all that traffic coming down Central Avenue, going into the 878. It's hard to fathom how building another building on Dowdy Boulevard is going to be a positive improvement. As a matter of fact, it's just the opposite. It's just going to be an exasperation of a very bad situation. I wish there would be some kind of a traffic study be done, just analyzing specifically the devils in the details, how all those cars and additional people are going to be able to get around those small streets. I ask the board to please take a look at each individual project and evaluate in traffic studies, see how that's going to impact the local residents, people like myself who are directly affected from such a development. Thank you.
Thanks, Mr. Gordon. We're going to take a 10-minute break here. Our 5 minutes? 5 minutes. 5 minutes. The start for it, we all need a break, so we're just going to take a 5 minutes. So when the clock hits back at 9:45, we'll start up. And is Joel Martin here? Eli Kuttner? Valerie Musain? No? Okay. If anybody else wants to be heard that did not speak on these items, I'm going to ask you to go sign in the back during this 5-minute break.
Okay, it's all right if I went out this way to use the restroom?
Yes, that restroom should be open. Just go out and make a quick left. You got it. I'm not my brother, and I say that, and I don't mean it negatively. I mean it like he got married twice. He's fucking insane. I would never in a billion years. Alonso hit it. Oh, this guy. Sir. Sir. Alonso just hit a 3-run home run. 4-3 Braves. Yeah, but he hit another home run. We're knocking at the door.
Of course the Braves will win.
Braves don't win. And the Dodgers. Braves and the Dodgers.
But for us, today, we have to go to the break. Right. So you're going to give them to the James? They are pitching, maybe. Best pitching. Two of the best in the league.
I mean, Scherzer was fantastic.
See that? I'm there.
Fantastic.
And he knows he's dreaming.
Yeah.
6 innings, that's it. And he's a bulldog. He wants to pitch. I like his attitude. He wants to win.
So, what do we do? Jacob deGrom is going to opt out. Do we go for Aaron Judge with the money, or do we go back for deGrom?
You have to keep the Jacob. You have to keep the
As soon as you are in the World Series, the World Series, it's going to pick up the phone.
Oh, yeah.
50 million,
He's going to pay
5
him.
years, 350 million.
He's not showing through ability.
Cone is still going to go for Judge only to annoy the Yankees and drive up the price.
I think
Because he's a Met
Judge
fan.
is going home. He's going back to town.
I think he's insane.
He's going home.
I think,
You read between the lines.
I think Judge should. I think Judge.
Big money. He didn't mention who. Big money.
I think he should stay with the Yankees and structure his contract like Derek Jeter did, where you can use the Yankee emblem in endorsements and things like that. A lot of people didn't see that. You know how the Yankees never were allowed to wear their uniform with a hat? In Jeter's last contract, he started doing the Ford commercials wearing his Yankee uniform. So the Yankees gave him permission so he could charge Ford and make more money. So there's always money in New York.
Yeah, I know, but how much, you know what, if the kid's from California, how much more money you get? You know what I mean?
Mike Trout's from
He's gonna
Jersey.
get
Why doesn't he
40
come
million.
here?
He's going to get $40 million. I know it's not the Yankees, but still, it's stupid.
Yankees. Professional Yankees. They're in it every year. Giants
Yeah,
aren't.
we're so Dodgers.
You're welcome. So the Dodgers aren't, they're starting to get cheap. They had some lineup though.
Yeah, right. But the energy was so bad.
That's why they got the money. Oh, really? Worse than the end?
Okay, folks, it's 9:45. We're going to start it up there. All right, and that's okay. Madam Stenographer, you good? All right. We're going to start up now. I do not, ladies and gentlemen, I do not have any other slips for people who would like to speak on these two items. If you have not spoken and you would like to be heard on items number 10 and 11, please, sir, we're clear, and please raise your hand. No, you can't ask questions, even though I like you. I'll talk to you after, but it's for people who have not been heard on items number 10 and 11. I do not have any other slips. Does anybody wish to be heard, sir? Do you wish to be heard? You have not spoken yet? You have not? Please walk up to the mic and identify yourself.
Hi, good evening. Marcel Handler, 19 Lotus Street, Cedarhurst. Okay, so I know everybody already mentioned the traffic, the issues, pointed out that it's a hazard when a fire truck needs to get through, police, ambulance. Now, imagine if there's additional traffic, I'm repeating some of the things that were said, but so there's additional traffic, and there are casualties because of that additional traffic, because now instead of getting from point A to point B, it's not 3 minutes for an ambulance, but now it's 5 minutes. And you're dealing with casualties, and somebody decides to turn around and say, you know what, this is caused by the town of Hempstead. I'm going to sue the town of Hempstead. This is all on record here. Now, it's a hypothetical, But imagine if someone were to play these recordings where people say over and over again that this is a safety hazard. So it's just something that needs to be taken into consideration, because it's not just hurting the people of the 5 towns. This could potentially be a significant issue for the town of Hempstead. So I know it's a different twist on it, but...
It's not really a different twist. That's why we're having the hearing tonight.
Okay, so I just want to make sure, from my perspective, there should be a moratorium on this, a complete moratorium, and full stop. So I know I'm reiterating some of the items, but that should be taken into consideration as well.
Okay, thank you very much. Stu Weinstein, I know you put it. Did you want to speak? Oh, okay. Jacqueline Handy? Hi, Jacqueline. How are you? How's everything, right? Nice to see you.
I'm Jacqueline Handel. I have lived in Lawrence for over 70 years. I've been president of the Lawrence Association. I'm very active in the community. I'm very active in the golf club. And I just want you to know that if we have many more people here, we need more police cars in the area. We have a hard time getting more police in the area because our police district covers much more land than it did in previous years. Our sanitation department will need more garbage trucks. Who's going to pay for all of this? I think you really have to understand that we don't need more people living in our area than we already have services for. And I thank you.
Thank you, Jacqueline. Thank you very much. Okay, that's all the slips I have. If you have not spoken, you want to be heard on either of these items, this is it. Also, in addition, I do want to let everybody know that any emails, letters, or correspondence that were sent are going to also be made part of the record.
Yes.
Missy Miller wanted to say some words. Does she? You have her right there?
Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Missy, we can hear you.
Hi, everybody. I just want to thank everybody for coming out. We heard you when you said that you didn't think you were being heard. Whatever side you're on, however you feel, we really appreciate you taking the time to come out and get on record exactly how you feel and what you think we should be considering. So I just want to thank everybody, and I apologize that I'm not there in person, but I have listened to the entire testimony.
Thank you, Missy. Thank you very much. We just have to wait for Councilman Mascarello was called out of the room. We're just going to give it a second till he gets back.
Really? Oh, good thing it's not 10 o'clock. Forget it, we'll do it.
Perfect timing. I know.
Supervisor, you have a joke or anything to tell everybody?
No. Again, we do, before the councilman gets here to take any votes, we do appreciate all of you coming out tonight. And we're taking the opportunity to have all your voices heard. No, you already spoke. Did you speak? No? I'm teasing you. I'll stick around after and talk to you. We just have to wait. We've closed the formal part of the meeting. We just have to do the vote now. All right?
Supervisor, this will be one consolidated vote?
It will be one consolidated vote on 10 and 11.
3 hours to take a phone call. Can we hold the record open and vote? Hold the record open and continue.
All right, so you know what? We'll vote and hold the record open. Councilman, do you have a motion?
Supervisor, I move that the public hearing be closed. And just for the record, this is for items 10 and 11. I move that the public hearing be closed and the proposed local law of the temporary moratorium in the transit-oriented development district for North Lawrence and Inwood be approved.
And I second that motion.
Supervisor Clavin.
Aye.
Councilman Carini. Aye. Councilman D'Esposito.
Aye.
Councilman Dunn.
Aye.
Deputy Supervisor Gooseby.
Aye.
And we will hold the record open for Councilman Muscarella, but by a unanimous vote, it passes.
And can we? And Councilwoman Miller.
And
Councilwoman Miller. Okay. Yep. Okay. All right. So the referendum has passed, Madam Clerk. Is that correct?
yes, it has.
Okay. Thank you very much. Thank you all, ladies and gentlemen, who came out to be heard on number 10 and 11 this evening. With that, Madam Clerk, I'm going to ask you to call the next item.
Yes, we have a resolution adopting a CEQA negative declaration and determination of non-significance in connection with an application to rezone a parcel of land located in North Belmore.
That's you.
Okay. Does any member of the board wish to be heard on item number 12, is it, Madam Clerk?
Yes.
Okay, I do not have any slips on item number 12. Does anybody in the audience that is here tonight that did not sign in wish to be heard on item number 12? If not, may I please have a motion?
Okay, I move the board adopt the item.
Second.
Supervisor Clavin.
Aye.
Councilman Carini. Aye. Councilman D'Esposito.
Aye.
Councilman Dunn.
Aye.
Deputy Supervisor Gooseby.
Aye.
Councilman Muscarella.
Aye.
And Councilman Muscarella, we held the record open for the proposed moratorium. What say you?
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you, Councilman.
Councilman Muscarella is a yes on the moratorium, making it a unanimous vote.
Thank you very much. Madam Clerk, please call the decision calendar.
Okay. We have the application of Leon Petroleum LLC for a change of zone from Residence B District to Business X District and for inclusion into the gasoline service station GSS District in North Belmore.
Do I have a motion on decision 13?
I move the board adopt the item.
And I second the motion.
Supervisor Clavin.
Aye.
Councilman Carini. Aye. Councilman D'Esposito.
Aye.
Councilman Dunn.
Aye.
Deputy Supervisor Gooseby.
Aye.
Councilman Muscarella.
Aye.
Okay, Madam Clerk, please call the next item on the decision calendar.
We have the application of Leon Petroleum LLC for a variance from the provisions of the GSS ordinance consisting of 2 pump islands with 4 multi-grade product dispensers, canopy over the pump islands, 3 underground petroleum product storage tanks, each with a capacity of 10,000 gallons, a 1-story with an overall area currently used for attendant, transactions, and automotive repair in North Belmore.
Do I have a motion on this decision?
I move the board adopt the item.
Second.
Supervisor Clavin.
Aye.
Councilman Carini. Aye. Councilman D'Esposito.
Aye.
Councilman Dunn.
Aye.
Deputy Supervisor Gooseby.
Aye.
Councilman Muscarella.
Aye.
Well done. Madam Clerk, please call the administrative calendar.
Yeah, so on the administrative calendar, we have items 15 through 50.
Mr. Supervisor, may I ask that the board please table items 28 and 29?
Thank you so very much. That's what I would want to do. Pull 28 and 29. It's going to be tabled.
We have a motion.
Second motion?
Second the motion on the table of 28 and 29.
Councilman Clavin?
What?
Oh, sorry.
No, wait, no, I'm sorry. The motion is to table items 20,
And
20, 20 and 29 is public.
28 and 29.
Aye.
You can speak
That
after
was
we finish.
Supervisor Clavin.
No, that's okay. I don't care about that.
Who
Aye.
wants to speak?
Councilman Carini. Aye.
Aye.
Councilman D'Esposito.
Aye.
Councilman Dunn.
Aye.
Deputy Supervisor Gooseby.
Aye.
Councilman Muscarella.
Aye.
I know The items were tabled.
Those two items were tabled. May I have a motion on the remainder of the calendar?
I moved 15 through
Fifty.
the rest of the calendar,
Second.
Exclusive of 28 and 29.
exclusive 28 and 29.
Okay, Supervisor Clavin.
Aye.
Councilman Carini.
Aye.
Councilman D'Esposito.
Aye.
Councilman Dunn.
Aye.
Deputy Supervisor Gooseby.
Aye.
Councilman Muscarella.
Aye.
Okay.
So I'm going to speak to them. I got to speak.
Going to call up Bonnie Garone.
Wait, can we have a motion to adjourn?
No, this is on the administrative calendar.
Oh, so sorry.
Hold that, because this is on the administrative calendar. Ms. Garone, if you come on up and identify yourself, that'd be great.
Bonnie Garone, Rockville Center. I just have a question about item 32. Item 32 is to repeal a section of the town code titled Pregnancy Termination Facilities. It looks like it was essentially the town's little local law to prevent pregnancies from being terminated within the town of Hempstead, except in hospitals. And it was passed, it was passed back in 1971. So my question is, was this ever enforced? And if so, when was the last time it was enforced?
We did a little research, and we don't have any records of it ever being enforced. If you look at the law, and you look at the law in North Hempstead, in the town of Oyster Bay, and actually the village of Hempstead, they were all passed around the same time, and they were identical. But we in the town of Hempstead have no record of it ever being enforced.
Okay, so, I mean, that's interesting, and, it goes to the question, just out of curiosity, of why we're doing this now. The law has been on the books for over 50 years and never been enforced. So after 50 years, we're deciding tonight to repeal it, and I'm thinking that, first of all, because the town of North Hempstead did it, and I wasn't aware that Oyster Bay did it yet, you don't want to be open to criticism that you didn't follow suit, so that's one reason. And I'm also thinking that the other reason we're doing it now, after 50 years of no enforcement, is because one of the board members is running for Congress and wants to be able to say, I voted to repeal. So I'm glad you're doing it, but it's very transparent about why you're doing it now. Thank you.
Okay. Now, I know we adjourned the other two hearings, but I do have a couple of slips. Lillian Watson? Audrey? Nope. Ms. Watson? Okay. You want to speak on item number 29? We adjourned them. They're not on the calendar, so I just want to let you know. That's why. Audrey Moore was the same. Aubrey, we adjourned those motions.
Well, that's my question. Why would they adjourn, number one? Number two, I've been here since 7 o'clock. If you were going to adjourn them, the gentleman that adjourned them, why didn't he do it at 7 o'clock instead of me sitting here for 3 hours until you adjourned them just before they come up?
Because they're on the administrative calendar, so we have to do the regular calendar first.
I'm saying if you're going to adjourn them, sir, if they were going to be adjourned, why did you have me waste 3 hours? Why was I sitting here for 3 hours?
Mr. Supervisor, I'm going to apologize. I'm in charge of the calendar. We needed additional information with regard to those two items, and as the supervisor said, we have to go through the regular calendar first, and then we go to the administrative calendar. So I apologize for the wait, and hopefully it won't happen again in the future.
All right, and I will apologize, Mr. Moore. I wanted you to be able to understand what we're doing. First of all, before we do anything that's going to happen in Roosevelt, we'd like for you to know about it. I have a meeting with you so that you will know. This time, it was done, not by us, by somebody else, and it was not going to go on this calendar. I asked that it be pulled.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
So that's why, but we had to wait until we finished what we had to do. First, we have to do what you said was the first part of the meeting, and then the second part is the calendar. So that was on this portion. So the resolution, that's where it was. So that's why we had to complete the resolutions, and after completing those, then we could do that. It had to be in the order.
Thank you. I understand. I'm not that familiar with the town's parliamentary procedure, but I am familiar with my time.
Well, I understand
Waste of
that.
my time to sit here. And you said it was going to be adjourned. Adjourned to when? Because I don't want to waste another 3 hours to have it tabled again.
What's the date now?
No, it's adjourned without a date.
It's adjourned without a date because we have to get some things straightened out before we bring that back. All right? It's the best interest of you.
And if you'd like, we can follow up when we get a date. And when it comes on the hearing, we'll call you and advise you it's going to be on the calendar. And you know, we'll try and make it a daytime meeting or a nighttime meeting if that's more convenient for you.
Yes, I would.
Okay.
All right.
And also for the record, I did receive letters in opposition to the expansion of the charter school from the Roosevelt Chamber of Commerce. My question is, would you like me to distribute them to the members now or to hold until it is reconvened? What would you like? Okay, I will distribute them.
And just, you know, when they're distributed, they're also made part of the record, too. Okay. All right. I do not have any other slips on the administrative calendar. Is anybody who'd like to be heard on it that did not sign in? Or Maggie?
Which item?
My address is 241 Reverend Dr. Arthur L. Mackey Sr. Avenue in Roosevelt, New York, and to Supervisor Don Clavin and to our Deputy Supervisor Dorothy Gooseby. That is history for the town of Hempstead, first black woman elected in the history of the town of Hempstead, and now she is our Deputy Supervisor. To all the distinguished members of the town board, and to Kate the Great Murray, our town clerk, and our town attorney. I'm here to speak out on the Roosevelt Charter School. We are in direct opposition to the Roosevelt Charter School expanding and building a 3-story school in Roosevelt. I am a lifelong resident of Roosevelt, and the first charter school was built at I Support Roosevelt Youth Center by John Boyd, the president of our Chamber of Commerce. Mount Sinai Baptist Church, where I serve as pastor, is the owner. I can tell you personally that the charter school, when it was time to pay their rent, did not pay the rent. And the charter school, historically, since they started in Roosevelt, has robbed, raped, and ruined the community. Some very nice people, some very distinguished people, but pulled from the school district $20,000, $30,000 per student. And that's money that could be going to our school teachers in the Roosevelt public school system. That is money that could be used for books, for athletics, for other things that are needed in education for our children, and helping the Roosevelt Charter School is hurting the community of Roosevelt. Pure, plain, and simple. And we ask you to please deny their application to build in Roosevelt. Thank you, and God bless you.
Pastor, always nice to see you, since I've had the pleasure of knowing you, that we were laughing about it for 23 years. But I'll tell you, as you know, we tabled it, and as I said to the other members, we'll advise you when it potentially could be back in the calendar, so everyone's informed and it's convenient. And I know the Deputy Supervisor will make sure with myself that everyone's voices are heard and everyone's aware of it before it goes back on that calendar. Rest assured.
Know that you'll do the right thing. Thank you, and God bless you.
Always nice to see you. Thank you very, very much.
Good to see you.
All right. With that, can I have a motion on the administrative calendar?
Make a motion. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, I'm going to motion on the administrative calendar first. It's been a long one. Go.
Go ahead.
It's got a vote on it. Just need a vote on it.
Okay.
Motion's been made.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's okay.
Do we get a second?
Second.
Okay, thank you. Supervisor Clavin.
Aye.
Councilman Carini. Councilman Diaz-Padrino.
Aye.
Councilman Dunn.
Aye.
Deputy Supervisor Gooseby.
Aye.
Councilman Muscarella.
Aye.
Supervisor, make a motion, we adjourn.
So moved.
That's a second.
There's a gentleman in the front with the
Hi.
Yankee hat on.
Yeah. I think you're speaking under public comment. There's more to the meeting.
Yeah, there's a little bit more. We're not running out just yet. So, form, I'll get to it. All right.
Next part. Okay, so Deputy Supervisor Gooseby was the second. Supervisor Clavin.
Aye.
Councilman Carini.
Aye.
Councilman Diaz-Padrino.
Aye.
Councilman Dunn.
Aye.
Deputy Supervisor Gooseby.
Aye.
Councilman Muscarella.
Aye.
Okay, now that the formal program's done, we're going to stick around and hear from other residents and other concerns. I have a couple of slips, so we'll see if we get to you. We're going to start our batting number one here tonight is Felix Percacci.
Felix Percacci, Franklin Square. We're normally not allowed to speak on adjourned items, and you let people speak on adjourned items. So, and also what you could have done, which you've done in the past, is you can suspend the rules so you could bring up the things that you know you're going to adjourn to the front of the meeting, which has been done in the past. So you could be a little bit considerate to residents and not, just give a lame excuse that you have to go in order because you've gone out of order in the past. Also, you bring up some things during the long hearing about the moratorium. There were members of this board, most are not here anymore, and the prior supervisor only had one vote, and this board had passed those developments. So to push it off on another supervisor is just wrong. Supervisors only have one vote, and the majority.
But I wasn't supervisor, so I didn't have that vote. So I think.
No, not you. But you can't blame the prior administration on it. You blame the prior board members. They voted. Anyway, several weeks ago, I contacted the town's helpline to have a large tree limb picked up that broken off a tree. A few days later, I received 2 letters in the mail from the town, one saying the highway department was contacted, the other saying the parks department was contacted. First, the town should reply to an email with an email. There is no need to waste money on postage and paper when residents contact the town by email. Second, there seems to be a problem with your helpline program. The mailing saying the Parks Department was contacted had a name of somebody who doesn't live at my house. Third, the tree from which the branch fell had additional dead branches on it and is in need of pruning. I know the town has taken under advisement the implementing of a tree preservation program. Maybe a good place to start is ensuring that current trees are properly cared for by inspecting existing trees and providing a pruning service for property owners. This program can easily be paid for by eliminating the town's wasteful spending on self-promotional and frivolous litigation. Fourth, the town hasn't posted the financial disclosures for elected officials on its website since 2020 for the 2019 calendar year, and that's required by law.
Was the branch picked up?
Branch was picked up.
Great. Thank you to our great coworkers.
Yeah, but the thing is, when a branch falls down, there was no wind that day, and there's other dead branches on the tree. That tree is in need of care. And what's going to happen is that tree, there was no wind that night when that limb fell down. We should have a program where we take care of existing trees so they don't end up taking it down, because 20 feet from that tree, PSEG, I guess it was, took down a tree. Probably could have been saved, but for years and years, dead branches occurred. No one took care of it. That's the end of that. And I think we should have a program to preserve our trees. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Mr. Picacci. Always nice to see you. Vincent Delia? How you doing? Give your name and address for the record, that'd be great.
My name is Vinny Delia. I live on Irma Drive in Oceanside. So I'm here today to put something on the town's record. I sent a letter, printed it at Staples, about 350 copies, and I started walking around to my neighbors' houses and putting it in their mailboxes. So I want to share this with you. My name is Vinny. I am one of your neighbors. I am writing this letter in need of your help. If you are not already made aware, there are 2 major construction projects across the street from our homes. One has already been completed, and the other is on its way towards completion. The Guardian Bus Company purchased a vacant lot across the water from us in 2021. During our COVID times, they started construction. They impeded on our protected wetland and neighborhood, raising the grade of the land 7 feet illegally. They also erected illegal structures without permissions from any local municipality. After a long push with the town of Hempstead, I finally got them to issue a summons. Unfortunately, the bus company now operates from 4 a.m. to 11 p.m. 7 days a week. We now live across from a 15,000 square foot bus depot. According to the town of Hempstead, they are due in court on November 3rd. In the meantime, we will have to deal with idling buses, pollution, traffic, noise, congestion issues coming in and out of our beautiful neighborhood. An additional project is also underway. After following the new demolition noise, I found a construction company has taken over another vacant land next to the new Guardian bus depot with plans to build a crushing facility. The plan is to crush concrete and produce other materials in addition to building structures where they will store organic material. When I found out this news, it was heartbreaking. I am in the process of building my family here in Oceanside. The news is devastating. The facility is located less than 300 feet away from our homes on Yost Boulevard, Virginia Avenue, Concord Avenue, East Lex Ave, Henrietta Avenue, Joaquina Avenue, Thompson Avenue, Murray Drive, and Ocean Lee Drive, and roughly 600 feet away from homes on Irma, Elaine, and Harris. Their projected completion is 2023, according to the staff, which I saw on site earlier that day when I made my first discovery. Immediately after my visit, I went to 1 Washington Street, Town Hall, directly to the second floor and notified the building department of what was going on. According to the chief of the department, they know nothing about it. He will investigate issuing a stop work order. Shortly after, I went to the 4th floor looking for help from our town councilman's office. In addition, I notified resources at the DEC.
Vin, I'm sorry to stop you, just that we have to keep everybody to 3 minutes. Obviously, submit the letter and we'll all put it on the record. Obviously, I've been working with you on a regular basis. I know that Commissioner Jowitz and his staff are working on it. Matt from my office and Ashley have been all over it, so we will follow it through. We've dealt with this before, and we'll make sure that we make the quality of life in Oceanside better for you.
Vin, have you ever met Commissioner Jowitz?
Yes, I just did actually.
Okay, make sure you get his number.
Yeah.
All right? Good, that's what I like.
He only gives numbers out to Met fans, but sorry, bud.
Brenda Dowling. Brenda Dowling? Okay. Marcia Ditieri? Okay. Aisha Demosthenes? Okay. Jacqueline Parker? Okay. I don't have any other slips from miscellaneous, but I feel confident. I feel confident someone wants to be heard. She's standing up right now. We'll have you go right back to that mic. I had a feeling, but I don't have a slip here. I would have called you out.
Tommy, you want to say anything?
What? Okay. Maybe it was with the other one, but I knew you were going to.
Okay. I've spoken before about my views on the animal shelter, and essentially, I think it's really important that the management, the oversight, the administration be changed, that making anecdotal individual changes, as have been happening lately, doesn't transform that facility the way it should be. And I've spoken about the director who, I informed the board in case you don't know, according to the town code, serves at your pleasure. And I urge the individual board members to get more involved and learn about these issues so that you can weigh in and make suggestions. Well, there's another area that's just come to light where oversight and management is implicated, and it's costing the taxpayers apparently a lot of money. Just today, the New York State Controller issued his report titled Town of Hempstead Vehicles and Fuel Usage. And he learned, after an extensive audit, that the town did not monitor its vehicle inventory, couldn't say for certain which vehicles it owns, did not monitor fuel usage. There's 16 fuel sites, but there is no comprehensive management of who's using that fuel, what vehicles are being fueled, and how the taxpayer paid gasoline is being used. And so the response was from the commissioner. So glad you're interested, Supervisor. Okay. The town's response was given by the Commissioner of General Services, who I guess has overall responsibility over these areas. Same individual who has overall responsibility over the shelter and clearly isn't doing the job there. Well, he's clearly not doing the job here. And he says in response that he's currently reviewing and updating the vehicle usage. Appears to be saying he's working on centralized vehicle ownership records. Some of the titles were stored in some places on a shelf. Some titles had disappeared, going to ownership, and will be closely monitoring fuel usage. I mean, obviously, all these things should have been happening all along. You shouldn't need the state controller to come in and identify these things and tell the town what needs to be done. So going to the question of overall management, we've got the same Commissioner of General Services not doing the job for the animal shelter, clearly not doing the job here. Please make a change.
Thank you, Ms. Crone, and I just want everybody to be rest assured that audit took place of 18 and 19. That was of the prior supervisor's administration, and we're actually working well with the recommendation from the state, and I appreciate them finding the deficiencies of the prior administration's management and helping us rectify those. So I don't have any other slips. Does anybody else wish to be heard? Then I will say thank you all, a safe ride home, and God bless.